Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Chiefs Digest live Q&A stream. Most of those words in some order make sense. I am Matt Derrick. Welcome to an evening and a little bit of time here talking about Chiefs football and hopefully not spilling tea all over my desk. That's what we're going for tonight. Everybody, I think we have officially entered the crazy off-season time where um, everyone that is a fan of a team that's not in the playoffs has too much free time on their hands, and therefore crazy questions pop up, and everybody wants to talk about some weird ideas, and there's things going on that I don't understand on social media. Hopefully, if you have any questions about them tonight, maybe there might be some things that all of you can help explain to me, because there's things going on that I do not understand. And I'm not trying to even be vague about it. I'm literally like, there were tweets today I saw that I'm like, I don't even know what all of these words mean. But you know what? That's what we're here for. We're here to help everybody get through it. We're here to cut through the clutter, the chatter, whatever is out there, and talk about what's really going on. Kind of quiet right now in Chiefs land. It's been a quiet January compared to most Januaries. Not a ton of things going on. Hooray, hooray! It is Q&A day from Luttrell, who also made the point that pointing out Carson Steele era has ended in Kansas City as he signs a futures deal with the Eagles. And it's typical Howie Roseman. I mean, it's, Carson. I mean, I'm sure that the Eagles can figure out, their fifth offensive coordinator in 5 years. I am sure it can figure out some things to do with Carson Steele. Wishing the best. Carson was a good dude. Eagles media will love getting some Crocky J stories in there and learning all about Carson and his pet alligator. So looking forward to those stories. As we know them all, but there's nothing that beats Carson Steele and alligator stories. So that's some good stuff there, as always. I'm going to probably just go straight into the questions tonight. So all of you, if you haven't fired away, go ahead and do it now and get your questions in. I was going to say I'm going to try and do lightning round. You know what? I'm going to say that I'm going to try and do lightning round. So maybe then I will inadvertently, accidentally do lightning round. Get some questions, fire away, and we'll talk about it all. I was going to go to. I'll come back to you, Chiefs fan. I have to. It's a comment from Dog Petter. Because super chats, I always with the super chats. You do a super chat, you're kind enough to do that. I'm always going to bring you to the front. Let's get crazy. Bring in Greg Roman. Way different. You know what? You're not the first person to suggest that today, although I don't know if the other one was being completely serious. We were having some fun earlier over at Locked On Chiefs, and Ryan Tracy made a great joke that I did not get. And so that it's a little Easter egg for you all later. I eventually got it and figured it out, but I was a little slow in the uptake. Bringing Greg Roman. Yeah, it would be way different. You're right about that. And hearing some of the stories about, and once again, it's always like a long time after he's gone. I mean, Greg Roman's been gone from Baltimore for two or three seasons now. And now there's, stories coming out about, what he did in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson and some craziness and not letting him audible out and, even blitz protections. Crazy. But, I've always liked Greg Roman as an offensive coordinator. Can't imagine a guy like Greg Roman come to Kansas City, though. When I come to Kansas City, you got to be willing to work with Andy Reid, understand that it's going to be Andy's offense, and you're just kind of there to help out. And don't know if Greg Roman wants to do that. Not at this point in his career. Chiefs fan 1969, we are back to you next, though. Thank you for all your that very kind of you. I truly appreciate that. You were in a chat room today, and a former scout said teams don't want to trade with the Chiefs. Do you see them being able to trade down if that's the best option? That has been an issue, and there's a couple of things, when you talk about the draft in particular, that makes, trades difficult. I have been told that there are some teams that, yes, don't want to trade with the Chiefs, that they purposely avoid it because they don't want to make the Chiefs better. There's been I mean, the Chiefs and the Raiders have made some small trades. I don't believe that the Chiefs and gosh, I mean, I was trying to think that I'm trying to remember that the Chiefs and Broncos made a trade. The last I remember looking up trying to find the last time that the Chiefs and Broncos made a trade, and it was like back in the early 70s or something. It hasn't happened. And Chiefs and Chargers are the same way. I mean, they just don't make trades. And, the Chiefs and Raiders, oddly enough, have made more trades than with the other teams. Um, but when you get into the draft, the issue is that every team's got different charts. And, you probably have heard about draft value charts. There's the Jimmy Johnson chart, there's the guys over at I think it's Over the Cap have a chart that you have that's out there. There's a couple of others I'm completely blanking on the names, but where you assign value to draft picks, and that's the way you figure out whether or not a deal is in your favor or not. You use your chart to figure it out, and obviously Brett Veach is a big time leader of the value on the draft charts because Brett Veach is perfectly fine with making picks that just gain draft position, not even like trying to get extra picks, which he loves, but he'll make trades for just to upgrade draft picks. And so those are easy to do when you're on a draft chart and you're just looking at the chart and saying, okay, well, this second round pick and number 8 in the second round is worth so many points. And you want, this pick in the third round. Okay, well, you're going to have to throw in this to also get that to add it all up. Works great. Problem is that if you've got two teams that use different charts, they usually can't figure things out. So, and obviously administrations change, GMs change from one team to the other. So that can be an issue with some teams that just don't trade draft picks because they can't agree on what the value of the draft picks are because their charts don't work it out together. They don't jive. So there's going to be some teams that are really difficult to make deals with. That's also another reason why that the Chiefs, in some cases, make trades with the same teams over and over again. I mean, there's been a few teams like if they speak the same language, Chiefs and Eagles speak the same language. So trades between the Chiefs and the Eagles are super easy. They did it last year with the Josh Simmons trade. That's easy. Chiefs and the Patriots in the past have typically been the same way. They can make trades in a heartbeat in a second. I'm sure the Chiefs and the Cowboys share the same draft charts, but they have made trades before that I think came up pretty well for the Chiefs, if you ask me. So if there's teams, you'll see that. I mean, there's a couple of teams that the Chiefs get along with really, really well, and they make a lot of trades. It comes to being able to trade down like that number 9 pick. Yeah, I think you can safely cross off anybody around the Chiefs that's in the AFC West. They're probably not making a trade with any of those 3 teams for that number 9 pick. There might be some AFC teams. Now, the Chiefs and the Bills have not been wary of each other. They've made some trades. Chiefs and the 49ers have made some trades. They're good teams that are not afraid to trade with the Chiefs. So, that can still happen. But yeah, there might be some AFC teams that you look at and you're like, okay, they may not be wanting to trade with the Chiefs. I don't think it's pervasive. I don't think it's like there's 20 teams in the league that don't want to trade with the Chiefs, but there are some that definitely don't want to trade with Kansas City because they think that they don't want the Chiefs get the better of the deal and then therefore get better. And like I said, when it comes to trading draft picks, you got to be on the same speaking the same language, and that's not always the case. So we'll see. But yes, I mean, can the Chiefs trade down for that number 9 pick if the opportunity arises and they think it's their best value? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to be an issue. And the Chiefs have had some trouble, honestly, trading out of that last pick when they've had it in the first round. In 2020 and 2023, both those drafts and situations, they wanted to trade out. They were very interested in trading out of the last pick in the draft those years and just couldn't find a trade partner. And part of that was more that there weren't players that other teams wanted to get that 5th-year option. If there'd been a quarterback that was really highly in demand, that maybe a team wanted to come up and get that 5th-year option, it would have worked out better, but it didn't for the Chiefs in those scenarios. So there's always things that can complicate trying to trade draft picks. But really good question. I appreciate that. Alex, is Mike Kafka the more realistic option for Andy Reid, or could we be in for a surprise? I do think that he's probably the most realistic option, assuming Matt Nagy does not come back. So I'm assuming that because I just think that it's more likely than not he's going to get either a head coaching job or certainly get an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator with a lot of sway somewhere else. So I think it'll happen. You start looking around and Andy Reid has by historically always gone with coordinators that he has some connection with, who's worked for him in the past. He's promoted from within a lot, brought guys back like Steve Spagnuolo. We were talking with the guys over Locked On Chiefs today about the fact that he once made Juan Castillo his offensive line coach, switched him over to be defensive coordinator for 2 years. He usually goes with coaches that he has known and worked with, and that really makes Mike Kafka, Joe Blameyer probably your two primary options as far as either an internal candidate like Blameyer or Kafka if he does not get a head coaching job. We'll start to see some clarity with this next week. I mean, especially after once Matt Nagy finds a job. Could there be other people involved? I mean, could Eric Bieniemy be in the conversation? Possibly. I'm just not convinced of it. I think we're going to have some questions coming up later, so we'll get into maybe, as I know I see the name later from Steam and Demon Nathan Shieldhouse. We'll get into that and maybe some of the other options down the road. But yeah, Alex, if I were making a odds right now, I'd probably make Kafka the odds on pick. And Alex Smith today weighing in that he thinks Mike Kafka will be the next offensive coordinator for the Chiefs also kind of adds to the mix. Brother Rick with the super chat. Thank you very much. How about Will Shields as O-line coach? Any word on my guy? Will Shields has done and gone down to Duke Manyweather's O-line masterminds and been a kind of speaker, instructor down there in the past. I think that's about the extent of what Will Shields wants to do. Will, I mean, he didn't make Alex Smith money. But let's see how much money did make Will Shields make in his career. I mean, I think he's probably they probably have his numbers in here, although he's spent a lot of his career before we really got too much into the current era. He made $35 million and almost $36 million in his career. So that's probably enough that, hey, Will doesn't have to be singing for his supper. He doesn't have to be working and going through the grueling line that position coaches have to go through. So I'd love it. I think he's a great instructor, from my understanding. I know talking to one of the offensive linemen from the Chiefs that met him at O-line Masterminds last year. I know that really enjoyed meeting him and got some good feedback and everything. Will Shields a good dude. I think he'd be a great coach. I just can't imagine that he probably wants to do it. I think if he wanted to do it, I think he'd be doing it already by now. So that would probably fit in, like I said, to the category for me of bless his heart. Will's got too much money to have to worry about that. Just like it drove me nuts because we talked about this before here on this in the live stream. Alex Smith is not going to be a coach. That dude made like $250 million in his career. He's got a job now where he gets to work basically 1 day a week for 20 weeks, some odd weeks out of the year. He gets to occasionally during the summer go see some of his friends and some NFL cities and shoot a little feature piece. He's got one of the cushiest, nicest gigs that you can have in television. And spends the rest of his time in California on his palatial estate with like views of the ocean and with his kids and his wife and the family and everything. He's got the perfect life. There is no way that dude is ever going to be waking up at 4:00 in the morning to show up at a practice facility and then, later on spend like 4 hours on a practice field on that titanium rod and holding his leg together. Poor guy. No, he's got $250 million for a reason. He is going to enjoy that. So Uh, yeah, Will, not the same category, Will, but same type of conversation here. No, I mean those guys made way too much money to have to worry about being coaches today, and I think they're quite happy with the lives that they have. Chris, would you trade Trent McDuffie to the Eagles for Jordan Davis? Woo! You're gonna try and tempt me there, aren't you, Chris? Let me look up Jordan's situation. Um, I mean, I'm assuming that the Eagles wouldn't do that because I feel like that they like Jordan Davis pretty well. Um, Gosh, it's really interesting though when you think about it. I mean, they both make about the same amount of money. They both need new contracts. Wow, man. I'm assuming, like I said, I don't know if you could make that trade straight up. I would if I were the Chiefs. I mean, as much as I love Trent McDuffie, I think I would make that trade straight up. I don't know that the Eagles would make that trade straight up, and they might want a little bit more. Although, man, I mean, gosh, I mean, I think would actually be a pretty even trade and help both teams a little bit. I mean, I think as much as I mean, I think I think losing McDuffie would hurt the Chiefs. There's no doubt about that. You can't lose a player of that caliber without it hurting you. But man, you might have stumbled onto a trade that I kind of like there. I mean, what would you have to do to get the deal done with Davis though? And can you afford it? I mean, I think you'd like to be able to afford it. And if you did that theory, then you can definitely go edge rusher in the draft this year. Mm. You are you may have found a trade that I could live with, Chris. Like I said, I don't know how he would go for it straight up, but that's in the ballpark. I no notes. I mean, that's a good trade. I don't think I'd have any problems with that. Alex, do you think the Hill binge cut would increase the chances he comes back for a 1-year deal? I mean, if the Dolphins walked away, I mean, I've got one major concern, which is that injury that Tyreek is coming back from is significant. So I would not expect him to be anywhere near what you would expect of Tyreek Hill in 2026. He may never be Tyreek Hill again. I mean, it's the combination of the age and that injury. He probably won't be Tyreek Hill again. There's a lot of reasons to, maybe take that chance because it just, how good Tyreek was in this system. Maybe there's things that they can do with him a little bit differently. But here's the other thing too, is just that Tyreek he's a lot. There's no doubt about it. He's a lot. And I don't know if you can justify this the busyness of having Tyreek around with what Tyreek may be at this point. Charlie, I'm looking down there, signing a washed up Tyreek would be the most Chiefs move of all time. I mean, I don't know if Tyreek is washed. He might be though, which is why I wouldn't sign him to much of a deal. And I don't know if I don't think the Chiefs could afford to do that. I don't know if they can really can take a risk on because I don't think Tyreek's coming back for affordable 1-year deal. I mean, I think Tyreek's going to be looking for as much money as he can. I don't blame him. I mean, that's the market. It's what he should do. But I just I never say never. I will never say never. I just think that once again, the chances of a reunion there are pretty slim. Chris, who do you have in the divisional round? I knew this question was going to be coming up. I almost had my selections ready, but let's go over to the schedule so I don't forget anything. It's only 4 games, so you think I can be able to keep track of it. Bills at Broncos. I mean, I've picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl, so I'm going with the Bills in this one. And I just don't like the Broncos, so it'll be an easy one to root for the Josh Allens and the Sean McDermotts of the world. Sean McDermott, can't believe, is now the second longest tenured head coach in the NFL behind Andy Reid. Just absolutely mind-boggling with the head coaching turnover of late. 49ers and the Seahawks, gosh, that is going to be a tough one. Man, I mean, I that's a tough one. I think the 49ers are going to pull this one off somehow. I mean, the Seahawks are a good team. There's no doubt about that. Quarterbacks, man, I mean, I think it's almost a little bit of a draw in the quarterback matchup. I mean, that's where I usually end up in the playoffs. I usually go with the team with the better quarterback. So I just think I feel like the 49ers are the better team, and I think they're just more experienced and better coached. They are a tough 6 seed. It's like the Bills are a tough 6 seed. Those are gonna be 2 really interesting games. I'm gonna go with the 49ers in another upset. I know I'm taking way too many 6 seeds. This is gonna get me into trouble, but I will rectify it, over in the AFC, with the Texans and the Patriots. I'm gonna go with the Patriots. I mean, Texans kind of won in spite of themselves the other night, and certainly in spite of CJ Stroud. And the Patriots are not going to be what the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers were last night. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots in that one. So Bills at Patriots for the AFC Championship. That should be an entertaining one. And then in the NFC, Rams and Bears. Going with the Rams. Rams are my Super Bowl pick. So gosh, that'll be 49ers at the Rams, based on my predictions there. So I would enjoy both those matchups. We'll see if I get anywhere close to right, but I would enjoy those. And those would be 2 championship games featuring teams from the same division, which I think did I read it only happened like 4 times before. So having it twice in the same season would be pretty rare. So probably another example of why I will not be right, but those are my picks. So, Weston, will you, Matt, and/or Nick be going to Indy for the combine? It's a possibility we both might be going to the combine. I'm planning to. I've not made my plans and everything yet, but I am planning to go out to the combine. So hopefully I'll be out there, and I believe that some of the local TV stations usually go as well. And since nobody went to the Super Bowl this year, and I think everybody had travel budgets set to go to the Super Bowl and some playoff games, there might be some budget money left over to go go to Indy for the combine. So hopefully, possibility that maybe Nick and I will both be there, Weston. So we'll see how it works out here over the next couple of weeks and see if we can see if that's going to be a possibility. J.K. Bliss, does the news that the Chargers fired both the OC and the O-line coach put extra pressure now on Chiefs? Is there a risk Chiefs will miss out on good candidates because they didn't move fast enough? It's a good question, and certainly the Chargers by being proactive there. I mean, certainly it gets them in the position where, and now considering especially, I have to go back and look at this. I think it's like, is it like, well, I mean, and it could, I mean, we're not even including like Matt Nagy in this conversation, but there's like 14 or 15 open offensive coordinator jobs. And like I said, there may not be more, there may be more to come. It's kind of crazy. So, and the number of head coaching openings is going to slow that down a little bit too. I mean, honestly, if the Chargers have somebody that they really want, who's not an obvious choice for either a head coaching job or for an OC job, I mean, there may not be any competition there. Maybe they'll get the guy that they want, and that's not somebody that the Chiefs were interested in. The Chiefs, I think, are interested in some candidates that are head coaching candidates. So they kind of need the head coaching carousel next week to kind of sort itself out. Remember, the 19th is the first day that teams can interview in person anyone that is under contract to a team. So there are some exceptions. There are some coaches that if they've been fired, like Kevin Stefanski and John Harbaugh in theory can be interviewing in person with some of these teams. Coaches that sat out a year could be interviewing with these teams. So there's a few that already could be interviewing in person, but anybody who has under contract to another team, an NFL team, can't do those in-person interviews until Monday. So that's when you're going to start seeing some of this movement pick up. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you saw your first hire on Monday. It might take another day or two before things take off, but it could start to happen pretty quickly. And hey, if Kafka is the guy that the Chiefs want, maybe he will get word. I don't. My guess is that Kafka wouldn't be necessarily who the Chargers are going after. So, I mean, if that's what the Chiefs want, if they don't have Matt Nagy returning, I could see that maybe getting done pretty quickly once Kafka just knows what his status as a head coach is going to be. O line is, I mean, a little bit more interesting, but remember, I mean, this is if the Chiefs do decide, and I think that they're not going to make a decision on all of their assistants until after they get an offensive coordinator in place, and then let that coordinator be a little bit of an insight into who stays on the staff, who leaves. Also, we don't know just because Connor Embry's, you know, moving on from the Chiefs has been made public. It doesn't mean that some other coaches haven't been told their fate and they just haven't gone public yet. So there's a possibility that there could still be, some more movement that way. I mean, I'm expecting that the Chiefs will still have some assistant coach movement below offensive coordinator. So remember this. I mean, if they were wanting to get an assistant, they're still going to be light years ahead of where they usually are. Because once the Chiefs are, finishing their season in like the second weekend of February, they're in no position to be going out and finding new assistant coaches or a new offensive coordinator because everybody's got jobs by then, for the most part. So, not a huge. I don't think you're gonna be missing out on a ton there, but I mean, again, that is the reason why you move quickly so that you can sometimes get the guys and the coaches that you want. So it's a good point. Paul, is the reason the Chiefs are not linked to any OC candidates because Nagy is still under contract. Yeah, I mean the Chiefs have not, as far as we know, the Chiefs have not asked for permission to talk to anyone about the OC job. I think certainly a little bit of it is certainly under respect. I mean, it's entirely possible that they have talked to some candidates, maybe that are not under contract to some other teams. It's possible they've done some due diligence already, but and some of them, I mean, they're not going to. Andy Reid doesn't really need to do an interview with Mike Kafka. I mean, he knows what he's got there, so there's not going to be an issue there. But yeah, I mean, the Chiefs aren't going to do anything visible with that offensive coordinator spot until Matt Nagy decides what he's going to do. So again, I think that may be settled pretty quickly. I mean, if he's the pick of the Titans and the Titans make their hire on Monday, then the Chiefs can be in business and doing what they want to with their offensive coordinator with no problems. And and I'll throw it in here too. I mean, when we're talking about the offensive coaching staff changeover and turnover possibility that Matt Nagy takes some guys with him. Um, Andy Reid usually, from my understanding, to keep things civil, will sometimes say, "Hey, these guys are off limits. You can't take these guys with you, but if you want to take these guys, you can do that." Um, I mean, it's the civility of the coaching ranks. I mean, there's nothing necessarily in some of these contracts that prevent, but if you want to keep the peace, I mean, Matt Nagy's not going to be stealing coaches from Andy Reid that Andy Reid doesn't want to lose. So there's some civility there as far as those things go. But if there's coaches that Andy Reid's like, hey, Matt, if you want these guys and they want to go with you, I'll let them. That can happen. So there's still a lot of moving pieces to this whole thing that once the Chiefs get the offensive coordinator position settled and anybody from this organization leaves on their own, you're going to start seeing some things settle down a little bit. Daniel, are the Chiefs trading back or trading up in the draft? Way too early for us to know yet. I don't think I can make that prediction yet, Daniel. I think there's going to be compelling cases both directions, honestly. For the case for moving up, if the Chiefs have a specific player that they want, particularly if it's a defensive lineman, they may have to move up. I don't know if nine's going to be there to get your pick of whomever you want. You're certainly at 9, probably going to be taking choice of I don't want to actually say leftovers, but you're probably going to be getting it's not going to be the first defensive end off the board. Might be the first defensive tackle, but I would doubt it. I mean, I think you'd probably be taking at least the third or fourth edge rusher at 9, maybe the second or third tackle at 9. And Terry, you at the just you piped in there with exactly what I would say, which is the Chiefs need more picks. So if you're at 9 and there's a handful of players that you still like and you'd be okay with, not a problem to move back and pick up more picks because you got a lot of things to address. You need an edge rusher. You need a defensive tackle. You need a corner. You need a wide receiver. You need a running back. You've got 5 positions right there that you need to address, and that's not even all the ones. I mean, you need some depth at some other places. So yeah, you need more than 6 or 7 picks in this year's draft, and you need more premium picks. So trading down from 9 and picking up additional second round picks, even early day 3 picks would be important. That's why, if you decide to trade a Trent McDuffie, if you don't do something like Chris is suggesting, where maybe you're able to get another player similar to McDuffie, point in their career, 25, 26, still on a rookie deal or at least a 5th-year option, something like that. If you're not able to do that, then you're going to be wanting to trade McDuffie for picks. I think you could absolutely get a second plus, for Trent McDuffie, an early day 3 pick at the very minimum. So, yeah, I mean, you can make some deals, not only involving number 9, but you can make some other deals. And Brett Veach, like I said, also really adept at picking up positions and even picking up little extra picks here and there. Maybe you trade back in the second and you get a day 3 pick that's not just the 7th, but maybe you're able to get a 4th or a 5th by moving up and moving back some spots. So there's an art and a science definitely to the trading up and trading back for what you want, whether it's to move up to get a player that you really, really covet, or it's trading back to get more assets. Alex, will Pop be back? And Isaiah Pacheco. And I mean, the right answer is probably for me to say I don't know, but I would be really surprised. I don't think it's out of the. I think I'm speaking out of school when I say that the Chiefs were not happy with the results of their run game in 2025, and that wasn't just Isaiah Pacheco. It was across the board. I mean, their blocking wasn't great. Their execution wasn't great. There was a lot of problems in the run game. But I also don't think it's Pacheco since the injury hasn't been the same guy. And I'm not even sure. Hey, they won a Super Bowl with Isaiah Pacheco. So not knocking Pacheco here, but you saw what the Chiefs offense even was with a guy like Damian Williams, who's just, I mean, a little bit more dynamic, especially as a pass catcher, a little bit faster. And I know people are going to come back with Isaiah's, speed. Isaiah's a hard runner, and I know he ran a great 40 time, but he does not change directions well, and that's always going to be a shortcoming of his. I like Isaiah. And I think he could actually probably be. Here's the thing: you put him in Baltimore in that offense, and I'm not going to say he's going to be Derrick Henry. He's not going to be Derrick Henry, but that's an offense that I think he would actually fit in really well. Maybe as like a supplemental option and a supplemental back, for them. I mean, and there's some other offenses too that I think Isaiah Pacheco would fit in really well with. So I just don't think he's going to be back in Kansas City. I think it's been a little bit of a rough fit the last year or two. The injuries have taken their toll. I think the Chiefs want to go a different direction. So no, I do not think he'll be back. Chris, between Carson Steele, Alligator Pet, and Cooper DeJeans, cougar hunting, the Eagles training camp will be more entertaining than the Chiefs this summer. Agreed. I mean, it's definitely anytime you have Carson Steele around, your training camp is going to be interesting. I mean, and then the Eagles, on top of that, I mean, they have Nick Sirianni, who is crazy. So that's always entertaining. He's definitely more crazier than Andy Reid is. And Andy Reid has entertaining moments, but nothing as insane as Nick Sirianni. So, you got that going for you. I mean, hey, AJ Brown may or may not be back. Even if he's not back, there's gonna be plenty to talk about. And I mean, no, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the Eagles training camp might be more entertaining than the Chiefs, although the Chiefs will probably have some drama this year that it has lacked in the past. So tough call, but I wish Carson the best. They are gonna love there. Uh Not a question there. I was just going to the next comment from Bleed Red Arrowhead and just about spit his drink out on the everybody's cracking each other up there. Dez, is Mahomes expected to miss more than 6 games next year coming back from the injury? And right now, I mean, it's really still too early to tell. I mean, his rehab is just beginning. Normally, the first checkpoint in a surgery like that with the ACL that he's coming back from wouldn't necessarily be until about 12 weeks. So, about 3 months in this case. You're going to be around the end of March, which would probably be the first checkpoint. So you even then you're not going to really know for sure, where he's going to be. Now, based on that injury and the history of it, what you would normally say and what the Chiefs have said, is that it's, you know, probably in the 7 to 11 months range. It's about the best you could say right now. 9 months would be a fairly typical return. So, would him missing at least the first quarter of the season be realistic? Yes. Could missing 6 games be realistic? Yes. Missing 12 games be realistic? Yeah, I mean, it's still in the realm of possibility. So, the Chiefs, I think they absolutely have to go into this expecting that Mahomes is going to miss some time. I think you have to go into this expecting that he will at least miss the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, that you're going to have to play a significant period of time with another quarterback. If he's back earlier, great. But, you're not really going to know. Your second checkpoint where you really start to maybe get a good idea about where Mahomes is going to be, probably going to be about the beginning of July, just before training camp. And then you're going to have a pretty good idea, whether at least he's going to be able to participate in any part of camp, or it's going to be like the end of August or beginning of September before he's able to get back onto the field and even, really start to get some things done. But at this point, Des, we're too far out. So wait until end of March. Hopefully, I mean, our next update from Andy Reid and Brett Veach will be at the Combine. So we'll see what they say then. I'm not expecting any timelines from them. Probably the same, language you kind of heard from Rick Burkholder when Patrick underwent his surgery. Probably won't be until really April when the Chiefs get back for off-season workouts in the first phase, and for OTAs that we kind of get the next major update about what things are looking for from him as far as the rehab goes. Daniel, Matt, what is your favorite Kansas City barbecue spot? Oh gosh, this is a tough one, and I'm gonna try and be nice. I'm gonna try not to, degrade anyone, because this is Kansas City barbecue. Our barbecue is better than anybody else's. So you could be the 39th best barbecue in Kansas City, and you're still going to be better than the barbecue at almost anywhere else on the planet. So that you're in rare company here. So I'm just going to be very positive and uplifting, optimistic. I'm not going to be running down anything. I will say this, that there's a handful of places that I mean, either like, or maybe I'm nostalgic for, but I'll say that I think that there's a lot of places that do certain things really, really well. You know, Q39, that pork belly, I can't remember what it's called. I just remember it's a pork belly thing. That thing's incredible. Best dish on their menu is that pork belly. Best beans in Kansas City. It's a race between Smokehouse and Jack Stack. Those are the two best beans in town by far. They're both great. And I probably give the edge a little bit to the Smokehouse. I think there's a superior. Burn ends. There's a lot of great places, but I mean, as far as like the places that I go, frequently, I am nostalgic for Smokehouse. It's a Northland place. It's the first Kansas City barbecue place I used to ever go to. I think they do some things really well. I think there's some things that, hey, other places do better. But like I said, their beans and coleslaw are my two favorites in town of those. They're just aces. A plus dishes. Love their beans and their coleslaw. The corn nugget appetizer, even though I know it's a frozen thing, it doesn't matter. The corn nuggets are fantastic. Um, Jack Stack has great sides as well. If you get the crispy fries at Gates, those are the best fries for any barbecue place in Kansas City. Um, Gosh, there's quite a few. I like sweet potato fries too. There's a lot of good places that have good sweet potato fries. Um, you know, Burn Ends. I love LC's. LC's has got some great stuff. Um, I mean, other places that I like. I love Char Bar. Good stuff. Meat Mitch, also a really good place. Kind of, I guess, spin-off place. But Char Bar, their wings are really good. Obviously, Slaps has really good wings. That's a good place. I mean, I feel like I'm going to degrade somebody, and I haven't really answered what's my favorite because that's the thing, Daniel, is that it's a mood thing for me. Really is. I mean, um, gosh, Danny Edwards, their sandwiches are really good. It's a great lunchtime place. Gosh, oh man, there's a place out in, I think it's in Shawnee. Can't remember the name of it now, but that's a really good place too. Like I said, I know I'm forgetting some spots that are really good. I mean, now Kansas City doesn't have any bad barbecue. I mean, unless, well, I won't. Like I said, I'm going to be positive. I'm not going to run down any chains, but if you're in Kansas City, there's no reason to go to a chain barbecue unless it's a local chain. You just don't need to go to an outsider. So, no reason to do that. Um, Gosh, I'm trying. Oh, man, I haven't been to it in a while. The place up in Excelsior, that's a really good place too. It has probably been, and I haven't been there for a while, so I can't. Maybe I should be careful before I judge it. Used to have the best pulled pork in Kansas City. I really enjoyed their pulled pork. Wabash, there you go. That's the place up in Excelsior. Like I said, I'm probably forgetting something. Oh, I saw somebody mention Zarda. I will say Zarda, their reserve burnt ends are fantastic. Those are great. Yeah, Brian, you can't go wrong with onion rings almost anywhere. So onion rings, a big fan of that. Um, I think I've hit pretty much all of them, Daniel. But I'll say if I'm bringing somebody in from out of town, I'll be honest. The first place I usually take them is Gates, or excuse me, the first place I usually take them is Jack Stack. If I'm going out, I will probably go more often to Smokehouse because it's Northland and gonna. I'm always going to be local. There's some. I wish we had more barbecue places in the Northland. I mean, all the ones we have are great, but just wish we had more of them because there's a lot more out south. Um, if I'm in the neighborhood, LC's, like I said, is always a favorite. I will go to Gates is the closest one to One Arrowhead Drive, although LC's is reasonably close. But I do occasionally get a sandwich from Gates every once in a while. Although their sandwiches got kind of pricey, but didn't say that out loud. And I'm gonna go with that as my final answer, Daniel. So I don't know if you really got the answer that you wanted, but oh, Rosedale, yeah, Rosedale's a great place too. Once again, I can't say that there's anything that's a bad place. And Charlie, which barbecue restaurants are you not going to run down tonight? Chain restaurants. I mean, let's face it. If you're in Kansas City, there is no reason to go to a Dickie's. There's no reason to go to a Famous Dave's. I don't know. Do we have? I know the one that there was a Dickie's in Liberty that closed. I know there used to be some Famous Dave's. I'm not even sure if there are Famous Dave's anymore. If there are any of the national chains that are still in town, I mean, I wish you the best, but not here. Just go somewhere else. Let us have our fun. So no, is the Tomlin Harbaugh situations a canary in the coal mine for Andy as far as adapt, progress, and be open to change? Certainly, he has years of goodwill and success to go, regardless. But still, um, it's a good question, Noah, and I think it's worth maybe exploring a little bit. I mean, I still think that those Lombardi trophies make a difference. And yes, Tomlin and Harbaugh have them too, but they don't have 3. And that's significant. And it's I think both those situations are maybe a little bit different. Maybe a little bit the same in that there's speculation that maybe that their messages have just run out. And I get that there's some speculation that maybe that same thing has happened with Andy in Kansas City. I still don't see that yet. Um, I think that Kansas City's problems this season were there was a lot of them, and probably not as many as we really think. Because you could also look at this Chiefs team and see that there were some just weird developments. I mean, it's the best, maybe this at least one of the top 2 according to like DVOA, the second best 6-11 team of all time. I mean, that's a weird thing to say. It's a weird brag. It's not really a brag at all, but it does go to the point that this Chiefs team, you look at a lot of the metrics and they should have been better than they were. And I think there's things that they can still fix. With Harbaugh, it certainly seems like at least the 30,000-foot view from Kansas City is that you can't get sideways with your quarterback. If you get sideways with your quarterback, you got problems. I mean, in Pittsburgh, Tomlin's the one walking away. I mean, I guess Harbaugh mutual, okay, but Tomlin's walking away from Pittsburgh, and I don't blame him in the least because that is not the same organization that it used to be. Their front office is not the same as it used to be. That is not a playoff roster. That is not a championship Super Bowl roster anymore. Mike Tomlin has, to me, in my view, he has masked a lot of problems that team has as far as, you know, really procurement of talent. I mean, they used to just seem like they just crank things out, but the changes in the front office of the GM, probably in the scouting department too, are starting to show. And the fact that you've had a washed Ben Roethlisberger, bless his heart, a washed Russell Wilson, a washed Aaron Rodgers, and somehow Mike Tomlin also took Mason freaking Rudolph to the playoffs. I mean, I think it says a lot more about Mike Tomlin being still a good coach than it says about the Steelers just being a coach away from turning things around and becoming a playoff winning team again. I think it's a lot more to do with the roster than it does with the coaching staff. And Tomlin walking away, to me, is Tomlin saying, going Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon on this one. And just, he is too old for this. Give him a quarterback, give him a roster. And I think this guy can still win Super Bowls. I mean, if he's able to do that with the quarterback situation that he's had over the last 5 years in Pittsburgh, and he's still able to have a winning record and go to the playoffs every single year, yeah, that's a coach. So I think Mike Tomlin can still coach. I think Harbaugh can still coach. It's just question. I mean, hey, has the playoff issues in Baltimore been Harbaugh? Has it been Lamar? Has it been both? Probably both. But I'll be interested to see what happens going forward. Harbaugh lands somewhere. I'll be interested to see if he's able to get back and make another run to the Super Bowl. I'll be interested to see if Baltimore's able to stay the same without him. I mean, we're going to get a good test here. Steamin' Demon, I know the win says Reid is waiting until the 19th for Nagy contract to expire to name new name. If push comes to shove, could Nagy back with tail between his legs? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's not 100% that Matt Nagy is gone. I mean, I think that there absolutely is a scenario where maybe he comes back. Like I said, I don't think it's likely. I think it's probably less than 5%. But is it possible? Sure. But I do think that, yeah, I mean, it's a complicated thing in that, yes, you don't want to be interviewing candidates for a job when somebody else already has that job. Andy doesn't want to be looking like he's shoving Matt out the door. I think everybody in this group wants to be, letting it look like at least that Matt's making this decision on his own, and and that it's not like the Chiefs are trying to leave him. I don't think that's entirely the case. I mean, I think there's reason to believe that the Chiefs would be fine with Matt Nagy coming back. But I do think that if Matt Nagy wants to be a head coach, and if he does not get one of these 9 jobs that's open right now, then something's telling you that he probably needs to get away from Andy Reid to show what he can do and make people realize that he's still his own coach. So I would say that yes, that he probably needs to get away from Andy if he doesn't get one of these 9 jobs. And like I said, I think he's going to get one of these 9 jobs. So we'll see what happens from there. I'm the Brown. Wait, that's our main talking point. Andy and his message is looking like Philly. Example, for 10 weeks, he said things we have to clean up. Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest on the Brown. I mean, I haven't gone back to look at exactly what like Andy Reid was saying in 2012, but there was there was an extended run. I mean, it wasn't like in Philly, like everything just fell apart in 2012. In 2012, also, I mean, let's face it and be real, and let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. There were extenuating circumstances about how things fell apart, but things also fell apart in Philadelphia because he didn't have a quarterback anymore. Now he got Nick Foles and looked like that might be the solution. And hey, Chip Kelly had a lot of success in 2013 with the offense, although it was short-lived. But he didn't have his guy. I mean, that's the other part of it. And I get that, going, I guess you want to go 6-8, if you will. I mean, give Patrick Mahomes, at least a little bit of credit for not having those last 3 games on his resume. But going 6-8 with Patrick Mahomes, not great. And I do. I mean, I do think that there was more things than just having a few things the clean up and the fix. And you know what? You may be valid. It may be a valid point that if you maybe this is the direction the Chiefs are going to go. Maybe they are going to have another step back or plateau in 2026, and maybe it is going to be another 6-11 season. At which point, you know, you're still depending on how much of that season Patrick Mahomes plays, probably have a discussion about, whether or not Andy Reid's the guy to take going forward at this point in his career. I still would say that I think it's 90% plus that I would see Andy Reid being the head coach in 2027. Just because 2026 is going to be a year where you just don't know what you're going to have with Mahomes. And I think that Andy Reid could survive just about anything. I mean, maybe not like 1-16, but I think it could survive a lot in 2026 and still be able to come back for 2027. I mean, you may be right. Maybe this is the end. Maybe is the beginning of the end, and things aren't going to get better. Maybe it is a slide that he's not going to be able to pull out of. But hey, I still think there's a lot of good coaching days in Andy Reid. I don't think that this season was indicative of bad coaching. There were probably some bad decisions that were made. They had some bad luck along the way. And yeah, I do think it was a little bit more than, just got to clean up some things. But he does I know some of you don't like to hear it, but I'm definitely of the category that Andy Reid's done enough to earn some grace. That he earns a grace period. He earns a chance to come back from a season like this. Hey, if you're 6-11 next year and Patrick Mahomes plays 13 games and you're still 6-11, you can have the conversation. It's probably worth having, and it's probably one that Clark Hunt will have. Uh, but I just have a hard time seeing that happening. I mean, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong, but have faith. I still think that this team. I think we're going to look back and see that this was just a weird year in the NFL for a lot of reasons. And Jesus with super chat, if you're available, will you sign L'Jarius Sneed back? Good. That's a good question. I'm trying to remember how much Sneed got to play this year. I mean, that is one of the problems with L'Jarius is that, I mean, obviously, I mean, he's a couple of years older now. Gosh, has he turned 30 now? I mean, I know he hasn't been gone as long as I think he has, so he may still be 29. Gosh, he's 28. He does turn 29 this year. Looking at how many games he played this year. I mean, he's played 12 games since he left Kansas City in the last 2 years, so 5-7. Um, there's that knee is a problem. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, if he were available, would I sign L'Jarius Sneed for like a minimum salary deal with some incentives? Possibly. That's about it. I mean, I have serious concerns that because when that was the main reason why the Chiefs let L'Jarius Sneed go and why they were willing to trade him and everything because they knew from having him around that knee was a ticking time bomb. And maybe hey, maybe that's behind him now, but you just can't you couldn't spend a lot on it. I mean, and I like L'Jarius Sneed. He is a good dude. He is a good teammate, a good player, tough, physical, all of those things. I don't know after what we've seen with the last two seasons, with as little as he's played, how good he is, which is like I said, that's why I would go to the whole if you were to sign Bracket L'Jarius Sneed, it would have to be for a minimum salary deal. And that maybe I mean maybe that's what he's going to get. Maybe that's what the market will be for him. If that's the case, and you just want to take a flyer on him, yes. I could not at this point though go into a season expecting that L'Jarius Sneed was going to be a part of my rotation. I think it would have to be just a guy that you're signing and you're hoping that he can become a good player again. But I couldn't spend a lot of money on him, Jesus. Noah, did the Chiefs give up on Demarcus Robinson too early? Another great question that I mean has come up since Demarcus had a really nice game the other day. Although I did see that Demarcus still does some of his Demarcus things that drove fans crazy as far as, sometimes not choosing not to run in a straight line. And it's really remarkable. I mean, he's 31. He's still been a productive player. He's not a star by any, stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's been a decent player, but he's had a couple of nice years. I mean, he had 505 yards with the Rams last year, and he had a couple of good seasons with them. Um, if I'm trying to remember. I mean, I don't think he didn't sign for like a ton of money when he left, but he certainly signed for more money than the Chiefs were willing to pay. And and I think DeMarcus kind of maybe wanted a little bit of a change of scenery too, and everything. But hey, could they have used him at the right price the last couple of years? Yeah, could he have still been putting up good numbers? Yeah, I mean, I think that he was a good example of a guy that Patrick did elevate. I mean, he I think that they did a good job. I mean, I think DeMarcus was exactly who he could be here. And that I can't say that about everybody that the Chiefs have had, especially some of the receivers this year. I don't know that Hollywood was the receiver that he maybe should have been or could have been here. I think they've had some underperformers. So, hey, DeMarcus, he's been healthy, he's been reliable. Is he 1,000-yard receiver? No. I mean, could he be? Is he a guy that could have given you 400 or 500 yards a game, or 400 or 500 yards a season? The last 3 or 4 years, yeah. And maybe you should have kept him. But let me go back and look at that. What did DeMarcus leave for? What was his contract? Because I have a feeling I'm going to look at the contract and still say, yeah, the Chiefs probably, at least the first time, made the right decision and maybe every time made the right decision. So I'm not logged in right now, so I'm getting weird numbers here. But let's see. I mean, oh gosh, I forgot he signed that first deal with the Raiders. I mean, man, his cash for 2022 was 9.3, 2023 was 10.4, 24 was 15.4. Oh wait, no, sorry, excuse me. Thank you. I was looking at that. That's his career cumulative. Thank goodness. Uh so it's his cumulative cash. Oh my goodness, that just gave me a heart attack. 2022 is 1.5, 23 is 1.2, 2024 was 5 million. This year was 3.8. Um I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs, in my recollection, like I said, my recollection is that first deal he signed in 2022 was there may have been more money in it, but it didn't work out. It wasn't all guaranteed. I think that he got released at one point. Um, so I think he was looking for more. The Chiefs, my recollection is that they moved on. They signed some other guys. So that when Demarcus came back and was like, "Hey, I could come back for this," they were like, "Well, we kind of gave your spot away and your money away." Um, hey, had both sides been able to get together, could Demarcus have still been here for the last 4 years? Probably. I think that was just one of those things that it's just like probably Demarcus and his agent misjudged the market, and had he just decided to stick in Kansas City, might not have made as much money that first year, but maybe could have made it back in subsequent years. Glad he finally got paid by the Rams and got paid a little bit by the 49ers this year. So he's had a good career. He's made some money. But yeah, no, I think that Demarcus could have been helpful to this team, but I don't know if the Chiefs gave up on Demarcus too early. I think Demarcus may have given up on the Chiefs a little bit too early. Might have been the issue, but your mileage may vary. And but he's done well for himself. I'm happy for the young man. Steamin' Demon. The hot name for OC is I think you're going for Shieldhouse. Is that what I think you're going with the guy from the Rams that used to the local kid that went to Rockhurst. If I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, let me know, Steamin' Demon, but I think that's where you're going. Um, I mean, I think that's an outside possibility. I think it would be interesting because he's a young guy. He's been around Sean McVay, so that would be interesting to bring some concepts, especially after this year with McVay reinventing that offense on the fly, to go with 13 personnel with multiple tight ends running the football and everything. I mean, I thought that there were some things like mid-season. If I were Andy Reid, I'd be like looking at what the the Rams were doing and saying, "Wait a minute. I mean, I may not have the tight ends to do this, but if I just put a couple of offensive linemen out there and maybe went with 6 or 7 offensive linemen, maybe I could run the football a little bit." Might have been worth trying. But I mean, I do think that a young offensive coordinator that Andy Reid could nurture and mentor a little bit. I mean, like I said, this is Shieldhouse is a guy who's been with McVay, so he's kind of gotten that already. He could probably go anywhere and be an OC next, but Andy Reid would be a good place to learn from. And I think that anybody that could bring some new and fresh ideas and some fresh breath of air into this offense would be a good addition. And they could still you could still call a game and call plays any way you want to. I mean, Andy Reid can do it. An offensive coordinator can do it. You can do it the way you've been doing it, which is Matt Nagy calls the play and Andy Reid only interjects if he objects. But I do think it would be nice if the Chiefs went outside the Andy Reid tree. I just don't know if it's going to happen or not. And your next question, Steven Demon, a top 10 pick is rare, can't trade back. You want Bain or Bailey? If go offense at 9, this is a wasted pick, I think. So 9 must be defense. I mean, if either one of those guys is available at 9, Steven, I am completely with you right now. I mean, I'm still just getting barely into my draft coverage, but and scouting. But yeah, and here's my only real concern right now is that I mean, I'm not sure that there's a ton of defensive guys that are worth a first round pick this year. I mean, Brett Veach will normally tell you that there's anywhere from like 14 to 18 players that they will ever have as a first round grade. And most teams are like around that, usually around 15 or so, I've talked to people this year who have told me that they think that there's only maybe 11 players that they'd have a first round grade on. And I mean, I get it. You're saying, hey, you're picking at 9, you're guaranteed to get one of those players of a first round grade. Well, some of those players are going to be offensive players. Might be a couple of those that are quarterbacks. Chiefs don't need that. They're not going to go that direction. One of those first round grades is absolutely Jeremiah Love. You don't want to go offense demon, so you're not taking a running back. The wide receivers, there's a wide receiver or two in that conversation. That would be, one of those guys. I'm really concerned right now. I mean, my concern would be that Bain and Bailey are both gone by 9. And, hey, I mean, there still may potentially be some defensive linemen out there that you could get, and I mean, the third best, fourth best defensive lineman might still be worth a value at 9. But you just got to be prepared that you're the guy you want is going to be gone because I think both those guys could be gone by 9. Bleed Red Arrowhead. Did the Chiefs fire Andy Heck? If not, he will be the wide receiver coach next year. No, they haven't, and no, he won't. So don't have to worry about that. Andy Heck will not be the wide receiver coach next year. I know you're joking. I'm pretty sure, but no. Chiefs comments. Odd question, but from your experience, are KC fans more engaged on YouTube when things are going well or when things aren't going well? I've been less engaged the past few years. Just me. Um, Interesting because I was talking to someone earlier today just about kind of our general audience and readership and viewerships and everything. And I will say, I mean, at least from my standpoint, not talking too much shop or business here or anything, but there was a sharp drop off from in September and October to the rest of the season. So I don't think there's any doubt that, at least from my perspective, there was a drop off in interest. I mean, we were down in readership and viewership both month to month and year over year in November and December. So at least from my perspective, Chiefs fans are less engaged when things are going badly. So, yeah, it could be just a short-term thing. I mean, there certainly have been individual times over the last couple of years, like when the Chiefs lost the game, that viewership was way up for that game over weeks when they won, and I think that was a little bit of hey, what happened, or people wanting to get just the grief off their chest and everything, get their complaints out there and everything, and wanting to hear somebody either backing them up or explaining why they thought that things didn't go well that week. But this year, I mean, it definitely seemed like as the Chiefs were losing, that there was less and less engagement. So I don't know if everybody was the same way, but at least that was been my observation. Terry, Tomlin taking time off. I mean, he could. I mean, especially since he's walking away, the Steelers will still have his rights. So if you want to hire Mike Tomlin, you're going to have to give compensation to the Steelers for at least 26. I was led to believe that he was under a team option for 27. So it's possible, I guess, that he might have to, he would still be under team control for the Steelers until 27. I could be wrong. So he might have to sit out 2 years, but and that's obviously, if somebody wanted to give compensation, you work it out with the Steelers and you can hire him. And maybe he wants to take the time off. I don't know. We've seen it go both ways. I mean, I think the year off for Steve Spagnuolo, he will tell you, really helped him. It was good for him. So there's probably been some guys who did not take a year off that wish that they did. Maybe there's some who didn't. We were talking about Doug Peterson too. I have Doug Peterson's, last year on the sidelines was 2024, did not coach in 25. I've not heard his name mentioned for anything in 26. So I don't know. I don't know if Doug's retired or he's coming back. I don't know what. Chris, have we seen both Kelsey and Kittle play their last games of their career? Interesting question, I guess, with Kittle. I mean, I would assume that he'd want to try and come back from that, but I know he's getting up there too. And gosh, Achilles injuries are just so tough to come back from. I mean, it's easier than it used to be, but that was brutal to see. I hate to see that for anybody, but especially for Kittle. But I would think that there's a decent chance that Kittle wants to come back from that. Kelsey, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I can make I can make a compelling case either way, but it wouldn't surprise me at this point, whichever direction that Travis goes. Charlie, if we can do 41 as the mic from the combine, I would definitely be down with that. So if Nick and I are both in Indianapolis, we would definitely have to make that happen. Let's see. Chief's comment says, answering this won't get you in trouble. I'm curious, who, in your opinion, likes doing media, press conferences, etc., the least? Coaches, players, at all? I have my ideas, but I'm curious. I don't think it would get me into trouble, Chiefs comment. So, I'm trying. I mean, you could say it's the guys that duck out on it the most and avoid it. In which case, I can tell you that on this team in particular, that would be Travis Kelsey and Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy would probably be a close third on this team. That was mostly at the end of the season, but uh, Travis has been notorious for avoiding press conferences, and I mean, you probably heard me grieve about it before and everything. And most people don't want to hear, media people for the most part, complaining about people not being available. It's the sports writer, sports journalist version of complaining about your fantasy football team or your poker bad beats. Nobody, or your dreams and nightmares. Nobody wants to hear about them. But Travis has skipped more media availabilities than anybody else in my years covering the Chiefs. He's far and away the leader. Used to be pretty good. He used to be available to us, but at a certain point a few years ago, that became something that he wanted to do less and less. And um, count on one hand almost the number of media availabilities we have with Travis this year. So he would definitely be in that conversation. Coaches wise, I mean, I think Andy certainly doesn't like it as much as, well, I don't think he ever liked it. I think Andy tolerates it less than he used to. Spags and Nags, Dave Tobe. I think Dave Tobe actually likes it. Nobody else, not the other coordinators. I think they handle it pretty well. I mean, Andy's the only one that sometimes just is like, I don't want to be doing this, but I'm doing it because I have to. Um, but he still tries to cooperate, and I'll give Andy credit. I mean, there are plenty of times that I'm sure that there are things that he does not want to say and that we want to get into, and he is very protective of information, but um, he at least occasionally does make an effort, and I actually have seen him. I think even give a little bit of, hey, I wish I could help you more here, but I can't, or I don't want to, because I don't want to give anything away. So that's probably my perspective on the Andy side of things. But no, as far as like who doing it the least, Travis Kelsey, number one with a bullet. And Rashee Rice was coming up on his heels at the end of the season this year. So Steam Demon, I would put more trust in Houston. Pass rushing may like a headless chicken if they get a pick six. I like Houston. It's possible. So Charlie, have we overlooked the poaching of talent from the front office and its effect on the roster? I mean, I guess your mileage may vary a little bit. I've thought about it, and Nick and I think have talked about it. Just they have lost some important pieces. Brant Tillis was an important piece. They lost Ryan Poles. Before that, Chris Ballard. Even before John Dorsey was fired and or at least his contract not renewed, and Veach took over. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was somebody I'm overlooking too that left, but they have lost some significant pieces in the front office. Really, more so in the front office than on the coaching staff. And Borgonzi, excuse me, that was probably one of the more important pieces because Mike Borgonzi was the sounding board. He was the right hand man the last few years for Brett Veach. So uh, yeah, to me, that was an important loss, and I wondered a little bit about how Brett would handle that, and I wonder if there's some things that he might have done differently this year if he'd had Borgonzi around to be that sounding board, to offer him some feedback, and because the one thing I know about Borgonzi is that he was definitely not afraid to tell Brett the truth. Not that there's other guys who aren't. I think Chris Shea is one of those guys that will absolutely tell Brett the truth, and is afraid to do that. But Borgonzi and Brett went back so far that they used to share an office together and close quarters, so they go back a long ways. And so yeah, that I think was a significant loss. All those voices were significant losses because they're all talented front office people, and obviously Ryan Poles is having great success in Chicago now. Brant Tillis has been in a kind of a unique job in Carolina and has helped rebuild that. And now it looks like I think he's in a position has been interviewing for some GM jobs of his own. Mike Bergonzi, obviously, he's a GM now. So there's three right there, and Brett Veach probably has a couple of other more guys who are going to be GMs. I mean, Mike Bradway and Chris Shea, I think absolutely deserve and will be GMs in this league sooner than later. So, yeah, I do think it's had an effect on the front office and the decisions that they make and the front office in general. So, Joe C. Biggs, I think Kelsey will be back next year. What are your thoughts? I I mean, I don't know, Joe. I don't know. I've been leaning to the idea that Travis is not going to return. I've said, hey, if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm Andy Reid and Brett Veach and Clark Hunt, I would go to Travis and say, look, Travis, don't make a decision in March. Go get married, do your thing. Don't need to come to training camp even. You're going to retire once. You can retire, anytime. It doesn't have to be in March. You can retire in October. We'll put you in the Ring of Honor. Retire anytime you want to. You're just going to do it once. You're not going to Gronk this thing. Don't retire now and then in October be like you got the itch and you want to come back. And I know, hey, Travis has got plenty of other things to go do, and he may be ready to go do that now. But I would, if my advice to him would be, give it some time. Come back in October, see where the team is, see where Patrick is, see where you are, and then make your decision. I think that's what the Chiefs would have done last year had Travis come to them and said he was ready to hang it up. Travis has just looked like a guy, I will say, that, was thinking that this was his last season. So if he comes back, I think it's going to be a reversal. I think he's been leaning towards calling it a career. And if he comes back, then I think it will be him changing his mind. Jesus on the super chats, position Chiefs address first in free agency. Good question here. Because it might be kind of underwhelming. I mean, it's always possible that the thing that the Chiefs address first are some of the more affordable options. But I mean, this is partly because I just think that there's two things with the draft, and one is that I'm with the point that was made earlier. I think and feel like running back in the first round and at 9 in particular, when you've got other premium needs like defensive line, edge rusher, tackle, pass rushing tackle, these kind of things, even corner, even wide receiver, because if you need a big wide receiver. I mean, you need an AJ Brown type, and those are the guys that you get in the first round. I mean, you're not going to draft a 6'4" receiver with tons of elite talent in the third round. I mean, there's guys that fall to the third round because they're 5'10". There are guys that fall to the fourth round because they're 6'4", but they're slow. I mean, if you've got a immense talent, and that's what the Chiefs need. I mean, the Chiefs need a true number one receiver and a big target. I mean, that you have to spend an early pick to get. So that's only going to be available early in the first round. So I think they've got a lot bigger needs than a running back in the first round. So that's what I would sign. That's where I would spend my money, because in free agency, you can get a very, very good running back for a whole lot less money than you're going to get a very average pass rusher. So to me, and I think it's going to be a buyer's market, it looks like, for running backs, because there's going to be a lot of running backs that hit free agency. We'll see. I mean, there's a few of them that may get some deals done, but once again, Damian Williams was an outstanding running back in this offense. Not a first round draft pick, not a big splashy free agent. He had the skill set that you needed, though. And that's the thing. I mean, you need a running back that's got that skill set. Pacheco's not that guy. I mean, he's got a different skill set than Damian Williams. So I think you need more of that Damian Williams type, and that's available. Hey, is it Brees Hall? I mean, he's going to be, I think, expensive. There are going to be, I think, more affordable options, but there's going to be a lot of guys out there. So I mean, that's my bet right now. I would bet on the Chiefs, their first splashy addition in free agency being a running back. And if you address running back, then you don't have to be considering taking Jeremiah Love in the first round. Then you can safely just go ahead and say, okay, we're going to go pass rusher, interior or edge, one or the other. You're the best guy you can find. You can do that. If you want to get Patrick Mahomes a target, you can do that. I mean, you got some options to go. It's just once again, I mean, it goes back to premium value. I get Jeremiah Love might be the real deal, might be the guy that could average 5.5 yards a play. Maybe it's the next Jamal Charles, but it's just such a risk that that's what you're going to get when you have other needs. And the fact of the matter is that it's having a first round running back that hits. I mean, honestly, you're going to be paying a free agent running back almost the same amount of money. Whereas if you get a first round edge rusher that hits, you're going to have an affordable piece for 5 years. Whereas if you're going to go out and get a guy let's say you're drafting a guy who's going to give you 40 sacks in 5 years, pretty good numbers. I mean, actually pretty high end. If you're going to go and sign a guy that's going to, you're hoping will give you 40 sacks in 5 years, you're paying like 25 million per year for that dude. Whereas that's going to be like the dude's contract for 5 years if you draft him. I mean, it's that value. So yeah, to me, you sign the players that are more affordable in free agency. And hey, there's no doubt. I mean, running backs are affordable in free agency. So that's where I would address it. But we'll see what happens. And I may change my mind with more information. I mean, once we get down the road a little bit here and see how the draft is looking like it may shake out and how free agency shakes out, I could change my mind, but I'm probably not. I mean, that's the direction I think I would go. Infopocalypse. If Tyreek was cut, would you roll the dice on a cheap 1-year prove it deal? Like I said earlier, I mean, I would for like a 1-year vet minimum with some incentives. It might take it up to like 7 to 10, but even then, I mean, I would have some serious heartburn about it, reservations. I don't think Tyreek would agree to that, so that's part of it. I mean, but otherwise, no, I think the Chiefs are fine with that being water under the bridge and moving on. So, Laura, is running back Love equal to Gente and a pick up at number 9? I mean, Laura, there's going to be probably some draft experts that will tell you, and the Fantana evaluators will tell you that they may think Jeremiah Love's better than Ashton Gente. He's got better size, may be a more all-around player and maybe better safe player as far as like being a big guy that can stand up to the punishment of the NFL for longer. He might very well be the best running back maybe come out since Barkley. I mean, he may be that good. For me, it's still going to come back to the value that if you can get a fraction. I mean, there might be some guys out there that are like 70% of how good Jeremiah Love could be. And you're going to be able to get them for the fraction of the money that you would get for somebody that's like 70% of the first round edge rusher. I mean, if your first round, edge rushers are going to get contracts, number 9, maybe end up being more than I'm estimating, but that may be a contract for the first 4 years, about 25 million. You're going to go out and spend 25 million a year on an equivalent edge rusher in free agency. I mean, that's just the way the market is going right now. And and obviously the draft pick is a more affordable risk. I mean, if that does not work out, well, that's better than a $100 million edge rusher not working out. You're going to sign a free agent running back. You're not paying a free agent running back 25 million per or $100 million. You're going to pay them less than half that, maybe even a quarter of that. So that's where it gets in, to the value of it and everything. And I mean, here's the thing: Ashton Genty, good rookie year. Looks like could be a great player. What did he do for the Raiders this year? Did he make things any easier whatsoever for that team? No. I mean, did not move the needle. That team is the worst team in the league. It's not that running back is just, it's not the end all be all. Yes, the Chiefs proved this year that you have to be able to run the football, but running the football well doesn't necessarily equate to success if you don't have everything else. You don't have the quarterback, you don't have the edge rush, you don't have the offensive line, you don't have corners. I mean, it's great to have a great running back, but there's a lot of there have been in NFL history, even before the current age, of great running backs running into oblivion because they were on teams that were absolutely terrible. They might have been the best running back in the league. I mean, Walter Payton was the best running back in the league for years, and he played on one team that was good. I mean, I know that's the Bears had a couple of good years there at the end of his career, but really was one season was the year that was the only thing that was the best. I mean, he played on some bad Bears teams, some really mediocre teams. Randall, do you have any free agents that you would like to see the Chiefs target? I'm probably a little bit too early into it right now, Randall, especially because, we still don't know a bunch of the free agents. I mean, there's teams that could still re-sign some guys. Um, Running back is probably what I have looked most closely at. So there's a few different ones. And especially, we talk about edge rusher. I just look at that group and I'm like, boy, there's a few players that I would like take a flyer on as, being a just maybe somebody who did not work out on their first rookie deal or somebody who has struggled, um, that, maybe just needs a change of scenery. But honestly, I mean, that's the thing is that when it comes to some of the Chiefs needs, like an edge rusher, like a defensive tackle, like a cornerback, um, even wide receiver. Now, wide receivers a little bit more flexible. I mean, I think that there's always, I think, some good affordable receivers out there if you just kind of shop around a little bit. And try to bring up that list that I had so I can let's see. Because like I said, the running back list, I mean, depending on who gets signed, probably not many of the running backs are going to be getting franchise tags or anything like that. That doesn't usually happen these days. I mean, and there's some running backs I would not touch. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not signing J.K. Dobbins because that injury history is just too much. I would have signed, and I said it back in free agent last year. I mean, that's my one win. I would have signed Javonte Williams $3 million easily. I mean, that's the guy I would have picked. I would have taken him over Dobbins. Signed for $2 million with the Broncos. The Chiefs signed Elijah Mitchell. I would have signed Javonte Williams. He signed for $3 million with the Cowboys. Going to be a free agent again this year. Like Spotrac has his value at like $7 million per. I'd be nervous about $7 million per for Javonte Williams, but Kenneth Walker, maybe, he's going to be up there, not as expensive probably as Breece Hall, but he's probably going to be in that conversation. Travis Etienne would be really interesting, I think, in this offense. You get down to like the Tyler Algiers of the world, that might be the most intriguing because that guy's going to be really affordable. Maybe you could even pair him with someone else. I mean, I don't know if him and like a Kenneth Gainwell want to be in the same offense, and Gainwell might not be my first choice, but once again, it's an affordable option. I don't know. I don't know if I'm real crazy about Najee Harris, but I mean, I think there's at least a half dozen options, maybe more, for the Chiefs that could upgrade their running back game and do it fairly affordably. I'm not even including Breece Hall in that number. So I think there's some options there. Like I said, I'm never going to be one that's going to be enamored with signing edge rusher free agents because those things are just so darn expensive. But we'll see what's out there. Yeah, in case you're all keeping track at home, my lightning round attempt has not been working out this week either. So we'll continue to try to get better. Pono, our first priority is a quarterback. Patrick won't be back until the half season is over. Any in mind? That's a great point. I probably should have mentioned that as far as, even before running back. You're right. No, I mean, it's absolutely going to be a huge, and, and that's where, I mean, you're the Chiefs. You're not going to be able to sign maybe certain quarterbacks. I know. And like right now, I'm looking at Spotrac, and again, I mean, they have the market value for Daniel Jones at $45 million. No, you're not signing Daniel Jones for $45 million. They got Malik Willis at 10.5 million. And I've talked to people who think that Malik Willis might sign for a lot more than that. There's just, once again, I mean, quarterbacks don't hit free agency. This list that I'm looking at doesn't have Kyler Murray because there might be some quarterbacks obviously who are going to be salary cap hits and cuts that aren't on the list. And Kyler Murray, I joke about it. I mean, I think that Kyler Murray would be genius if he just took a 1-year prove it deal from the Chiefs to come and replace Patrick for a year. I mean, I think it would be genius. I think the Chiefs might win the Super Bowl if they did that. I mean, if they had Kyler with the ability for Mahomes to come in later, and then have Kyler be the backup for the rest of the season, I mean, I think it'd be really great opportunity for Kyler to get a Super Bowl ring, and then he can go off and get all the money he wants to next season. But I mean, gosh, it's going to be rough. I mean, Gardner is a possibility to come back. I can't rule it out. But who else is out there? I mean, I think you're going to be looking for some salary, cut guys because no Aaron Rodgers, no Demarcus Mariota, no to Russell Wilson, no Joe Flacco, no Mitch Trubisky, no Tyrod Taylor, no to Zach Wilson, Jake Browning, Sam Howell. No, I mean, just there's a lot of no's here. So it's not, and I mean, maybe if you're the Chiefs, make a trade and maybe you sign somebody and you draft somebody. I'm not saying you draft a quarterback in the first round, but there's a quarterback that you think is undervalued and you can get maybe in the fourth round. I'm Brett Veach, Andy Reid. I'm thinking about it. Brian Kafka got to learn from Dable for 4 years. He had to have learned a thing or two. Not the same guy. No, and I'll be honest. I mean, watching Kafka with the way that he worked with Jackson Dart and called some games. I mean, just watching a little bit of those Giants games at the end of the season, and even watching him in his press conferences, I feel like Kafka's a lot different, dude. I mean, I was questioning, when Kafka got that job in New York, I did not think he was ready for it. And I think he handled it extremely well. Probably didn't get to all the things that he, wanted to accomplish done, and probably wished it had gone better, but I thought he did better than I expected. He handled it really well. I think he has matured quite a bit. So no, I don't think he is the same guy. And he probably learned good things and probably learned what not to do from some things from Brian Dable too. So there's a little bit, goes both ways and everything. But all that I think helps in the grand scheme of things. So I do. I mean, Kafka coming back could be a really nice piece. I mean, and his experience working with Jackson Dart could certainly help out with whatever the Chiefs decide to do at quarterback next year, whether it's bring in a veteran, whether it's go with a young guy, if it's draft someone that you're trying to develop. I mean, you could go a lot of different directions. I think Kafka could handle that. And, and we probably haven't talked about it enough. Your quarterback coach is also going to be a part of that. And David Girardi, the current quarterback's coach, I don't know if he'll be back or not. Maybe he's back and he's back in a different role. If you're the Chiefs and you draft a quarterback, say on day 3, maybe early, if like a 4th round quarterback, somebody that you like, again, what the Chiefs did with Patrick was a good idea, which is just give him his own quarterback. Mike Kafka was that guy for Patrick Mahomes in 2017. Mike Kafka was just I think I'm trying to remember. I think his like his official title may have been like assistant quarterbacks coach or offensive assistant, but his job was basically to be attached to the hip of Patrick Mahomes the entire season and just be his Sherpa, as Nick would say. And it worked out brilliantly. I mean, not only just having the Alex Smith mentor thing around and obviously surrounding him with all the other support because they had Childress around then, they had Nagy, Bieniemy. I mean, you have all of these coaches around him that is able to help him out. But having Kafka, who was a former quarterback that for Andy Reid, that could kind of help you with all of these things was a big deal. So, whether it's Girardi, whether it's somebody else that you bring in, I think it would be great to have somebody like that on staff that could help you out. And maybe there's some other quarterbacks. I mean, she's been through a lot of quarterbacks in the year that are gone into coaching. So maybe there's a guy out there that they could add to the staff that could be just like Kafka was for Mahomes in 17. Universal Soul. Matt, what is your preference? Would you rather blow up offensive staff and take a chance on a new fresh system or have another retread come in? I mean, and I'm assuming you're thinking about this from like the offensive coordinator and the staff. I mean, I do think you need to blow it up to a certain degree. I mean, hey, Todd Pinkston might be a really good coach. He needs to be a wide receivers coach if he's going to be a coach. He doesn't need to be a running backs coach. You need a new guy there. I do think that the offensive line, if you're talking about the message getting a little stale, I think that has happened on the offensive line. So I think you need a new offensive line coach. Connor Embry, I mean, I think you probably need someone with a little bit more veteran experience, and Chiefs already made a move in that direction. Tom Melvin, he can stay. I mean, Tom's a great tight ends coach, one of the best. He and Andy go back a long way. So, nope, you don't need to do anything with Tom Melvin. Tom Melvin can stick around. Joe Blameyer, I like Joe Blameyer. He's a really sharp young guy. He's had some great suggestions over the years, so I would definitely keep him around. And there's some other guys on the staff too that maybe just in different roles would be great, to be able to keep them around. But I think you need a new wide receivers coach, you need a new running backs coach, you need a new offensive line coach, maybe quarterbacks coach, depending, like we're talking about in the last question, how you structure that and who your quarterbacks are going to be. Wouldn't be bad to have like two experience, even if you have an assistant quarterbacks coach and a quarterbacks coach. It wouldn't be a bad thing to have two of those guys with a certain amount of experience, because if you're going to be trying to develop somebody without Mahomes on the field to be ready to go at the beginning of the season, I mean, that's going to be a bigger job than it is during a usual season. So I mean, I think you need to blow up a certain amount of things because you need to do things differently. It doesn't mean Andy Reid needs to reinvent the wheel, but they were too predictable at times this year. And again, I mean, I feel like that this offense was too comfortable at times as well. And how do you make guys uncomfortable? I mean, new coaches help. New coaches go in that direction. I mean, there's going to be some turnover in personnel too, but I think they need some just fresh blood in the coaching staff. Like I said, I don't think Andy Reid's message has worn out, but some individual coaches' messages might have worn out. Alex, have you ever been to Casey's neighbor, Iowa? We are known for our giant tenderloins. I have been to Iowa. I'm not sure if I've ever had a tenderloin in Iowa, though. I feel really bad about that, especially because I've been to Nebraska and I've had a runza, and I wish I hadn't. No offense, Nebraska. It's just not my cup of tea. But I have had giant tenderloins, and I think somebody mentioned, the one in Clinton. Gosh, is that Peggy's? Oh, gosh, I'm trying to remember. I feel like it might be Peggy's. I could be wrong, but there's a restaurant down in Clinton that's got giant tenderloins. I never turning down a giant tenderloin. Anytime you get me a giant tenderloin, Alex, sign me up for that. That is good eating. So. Oh, there we go. Yes, Brian, the giant tenderloin place in Harrisonville, and Clinton too. I think, like I said, is it Peggy's? No, Smith's Diner. That's it. I'm pretty sure it's Smith's. Great giant tenderloin. I don't know about the place in Harrison unless it's also a Smith's because I think there's a couple of them somewhere. Patrick, what would you consider a successful offseason for the Chiefs? Any specific players or coaches you would like to see come in? I mean, to me, Patrick, I don't know if it's about anybody specifically that I would be pointing at and saying, "Hey, Chiefs really need to bring in this one." But there's certain things that they have to address. I mean, they have to improve the pass rush. And I mean, they need like 5 new faces on the defensive line. So, you need a defensive tackle, both I think a run stuffer and a pass rusher. You probably need 2 edge rushers to come in. And one of them needs to be at least elite. I mean, that's why that first round pick, I'm really would be leaning towards a defensive lineman who can get after the quarterback because you've struggled now. I mean, last couple of seasons, and particularly this year, you took a big step back at being able to go after the quarterback. So you need to get better at that. Honestly, offensive line, I'm fine with what the Chiefs have. I'm not sure. I mean, if they want to bring in somebody, there's somebody that they think can be a successful backup. But if healthy, they've got 5 guys that they're comfortable with starting. And with Simmons at left tackle, no reason to believe he is not going to be healthy and ready to go for next year. Jalen Moore at right tackle. I think your starting line is fine. That's not a problem. You need a couple of wide receivers. I think obviously you need to get at some point you need to get Patrick Mahomes a big target. And so yes, if you can bring yourself in a 6'4" type receiver, 6'3", I mean we can live with that. That's somebody you need to get. I mean you just need a couple of new faces there. You need to revamp that room a little bit. I mean maybe it could be some addition through subtraction too. I mean that the room needs some work. You're gonna have to figure out tight end whether or not you have Travis Kelce. If not, you're gonna need a new tight end, and it's gonna need to be a big guy. I mean, it can't. Do you have someone on the roster now that can become that? I mean, I'm not sure that Jared Weiler or Jake Brainingstool both are big targets. I don't know if either one of them are ready to replace Travis Kelce, but I know that. I mean, Noah Gray is a nice tight end. He's not going to be Travis Kelce. And nobody else is going to be that either. But you need to give your quarterback, whomever it is, a nice big tight end target with some good hands, and preferably somebody that's like at least 6'5" or bigger. We can go with 6'4" if it's like a Harold Fandon type, but you need a big guy. I mean, you need a little bit of. I mean, you need a corner, and if you address, like I said, if you address these 5, 6, 7 needs that the Chiefs have, I'll feel a lot better. I mean, if you improve the pass rush, if you get yourself another decent corner, I mean, and I'm thinking of this in the sense too that that you might be trading Trent McDuffie to get where you need to get on a couple of pieces. So I could see that. Um, but yeah, I mean, so you address the pass rush a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. You get yourself a receiver, maybe 2, a tight end, running back, obviously, a corner. Safety's not huge on my needs, but you're probably and I'm assuming the Chiefs are going to be re-signing Brian Cook. If you re-sign Brian Cook, that's taken care of in my book. And not that you're not going to want to make backups and some possibilities in places. But it's to me, um, you do that, and I think you've had a successful offseason. And we've talked about the coaching staff quite a bit tonight, so I don't know if I have a whole lot to add there. Yeah, Brian, I was kind of reading your comment. It wasn't really a question. Say in many cases, if your employer is aware you're interviewing elsewhere, you'll be dismissed. In the NFL, I mean, if you're under contract, you can't interview elsewhere without permission. So even if if you're a quarterbacks coach for a team and some other team wants you to be their offensive coordinator, they have to ask permission to do that. So yeah, there's none of that. So I mean, that's another thing that slows down this whole process and kind of gums up the works a little bit and everything. The NFL does have its rules, and they do like for them to be followed. J.K. Bliss, I know you don't like to talk about people losing their jobs, but what is your sense about whether Andy Heck will be the Chiefs next year? And I appreciate you. Love the Q&A. Thank you. That's very kind of you. And I'm glad you brought it up because I may have been more cavalier tonight than I would usually prefer to be. I mean, we've been talking about this pretty bluntly, and I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's important for people to recognize that when you are discussing these things, you're not discussing about, just swapping out a coach or anything like this. I mean, and it might be more dramatic than I've been in positions where I've been laid off and my position's been eliminated, all these things. So I get how tough that is. But, in most of our cases, hopefully, if that happens to us, our job's eliminated, we get fired, whatever it may be, hopefully we can find a job in town, don't have to move. If you're a football coach and your job goes away because your head coach got fired, you get fired, whatever might happen, chances are you're going to be taking the family and you're going to be moving. You don't get to stick around. I mean, and a lot of these guys, don't make a ton of money. I mean, some of them do. Doesn't mean it makes it any easier. But there've been some stories. If you haven't read them, go check out and see if how much like Bill Belichick used to pay some of his assistants with the Patriots. It's frightening. So I'm glad you brought that up, J.K. Bliss. But I think it's on the fence. I mean, I think that whomever the next offensive coordinator comes in is going to have some say about that. Andy Reid may feel one way or the other, but I think he will listen to whomever his next offensive coordinator is going to be. And like I said, if Matt Nagy gets an offensive coordinator job or a head coaching job, there may be players on this coaching staff that Andy Reid is going to be okay with him taking if Andy wants to, reboot his staff a little bit. And a lot of times coaches, when they do get new jobs, they would love to have some coaches from their former situation, to come in and be able to teach what they do, to teach the culture, to reinforce all of those things so that they do. I mean, if Matt Nagy goes somewhere and gets a head coaching job, I have no doubt he's got a list about who he wants to be as his defensive coordinator, his OC, position coaches. Some of those may be people who are already on the Chiefs staff. I mean, maybe he wants Brendan Daly to be his defensive coordinator. I mean, those things can happen. So, just what happens with Matt Nagy and even Steve Spagnuolo could trickle down quite a bit to the rest of the coaching staff and which coaches stay and which ones go. And coaches may decide to go somewhere else on their own. Paul, given the issues running the ball, do you see them going all out, Hall, Walker, Etienne, or go middle with a guy like Algier or Dawdle? And I may be pronouncing Rico's last name terribly. I apologize. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest, Paul. I mean, I could see him going both ways. I mean, the idea that to me, like the benefit if you end up going with a guy like Algier, which I think's got a ton of upside, honestly, I mean, that doesn't prevent you from maybe signing two guys. And honestly, I mean, Chiefs might need to consider that. I like Brashard Smith. I still don't know whether the Chiefs view him as a receiver or a running back or a hybrid. So I mean, and I think that they would be more likely to probably sign a running back and draft one as well. But I don't know if you need to get Breece Hall. And I'm not, even though the Chiefs, discussed making the trade with the Jets for Breece Hall during the season, I'm not entirely convinced that he's the best fit for the Chiefs. I do think that like a Walker or an Etienne actually might be a better fit. Hall might be a great fit too. My only hesitancy really about Hall is that the consensus is that he's going to be the most expensive, and the Chiefs are price sensitive. They don't have all the cap room in the world. So I could see them absolutely, trying to be more affordable and trying to get the best bang for their buck. And from that standpoint, I think there are other running backs that if Brees Hall is the guy that is the the consensus number one and is going to get $10 million plus a year or more, 12, 15 million in that ballpark. Yeah, I that would be too rich for my blood. I think you'd be better off going a different direction because I think that there are other running backs that have a lot of value in this year's class, and there might even be a few more. The Joey, ever thought of doing a Royals digest? um, I won't say that it hasn't crossed my mind. I have way too much on my hands just keeping up with the Chiefs to unfortunately dive too much into the Royals. But if I ever have the media empire, uh, we can expand. I would love to get into that and at least maybe cover the Royals part time a little bit. But I would only do that if the Chiefs Digest empire, like I said, was expanding, and I could afford to have somebody that was covering the Royals full time. That would be the way to go. Not quite there yet. Maybe we'll get there someday, but like I said, it has crossed my mind. It's just not quite there yet. But I baseball was my first love, so I've now at this point I think not reluctantly, but by circumstance, I have become more knowledgeable about football than I am about baseball. Especially because baseball, the analytics of the last 10 years has passed me by. I'm way behind the times, unfortunately. But I'm doing better on football analytics, so we got that going for you. Paul, what's the reason behind not hearing from Veach yet? Um, how shall I put this? It's not Brett Veach's fault. Um, it's I'm going to blame a little bit of the National Football League and the Pro Football Writers of America because they have a poorly written rule or policy in the media policy about what should be the availability of coaches and front office personnel at the end of the season. There's a disagreement on what that interpretation means and whether or not the teams are required to offer their coach and a front office or executive in addition to the head coach. Um, this is a very touchy subject, Paul, in case you haven't been able to pick it up yet. And I may have more to say about this later, depending on how some things go. Um, I do believe that it would be in Brett Veach's best interest to be available before the combine. I believe that the NFL media policy suggests that either him, Mark Donovan, or Clark Hunt should be available at the end of the Chiefs season, which we have done. Um, like I said, I may have a lot more to say about this later. I am going to, at this point, just say that I think that he should be available. But I can say that honestly, the reason why Brett Veach has not been available yet is that the Chiefs organization, not Brett Veach, the organization does not see the value to them in making Brett Veach available. And I think that's an insult to Chiefs fans. I think it's a lot of things, but I definitely think it's an insult to Chiefs fans that you're not getting to hear from your GM and you're not going to get to hear from your GM until he's in Indianapolis. I do not blame Brett Veach because I think that Brett Veach um, would be available. I think he would like to be available. I don't know if he's being told not to be available. Maybe he is. If he's being told that, I think he's getting bad advice. Um, like I said, I may have more to say about it. That's probably about the most I should say about it right now. But yeah, I think you've hit on a wonderful question there, Paul, about what's the reasoning behind hearing from Brett Veach, and I think that the reasoning is very, very poor and short-sighted. But there you go. I guess I'll move on before, like Marshawn Lynch would once say, I'm here so I won't get fined. Uh, Jesus, do you see the Chiefs changing their defense? I guess you're talking like changing to a 4-3 or some other defense that they already play a 4-3. I mean, unless Steve Spagnuolo leaves, no. I mean, they'll stick as a 4-3. Obviously, they play a lot of sub defense under Steve Spagnuolo, so they're not in a 4-3 very often. Could you see them maybe? Could I see them maybe making some changes in the way that they do things, or maybe even moving some players around? Um, you know, I mean, I don't think that Leo Chanel is going to be back. I mean, that's tough to say because I like Leo as a player, like him as a person too. He's been a great guy to cover, but I don't think he's going to be back. I think he's going to get a chance to test free agency, and I think somebody's going to offer him a lot more money than the Chiefs will. Because let's face it, the Chiefs have not viewed Leo Chanel as a 3-down player. They have viewed him as a part-time player. I mean, he plays about 50% of the snaps. I think somebody's going to come along and offer him an opportunity to be a full-time player, maybe play 80 to 100% of the snaps, and he's going to get paid for that. So good for him. So how will they, who will take that spot going forward? Is that person on the roster right now? Really, they drafted Jeff Bossa with the prospect that he'll be kind of the next weak side linebacker. That would be the next Drew Tranquil. You know, Cooper McDonald has been kind of the understudy to be the behind Leo Chanel. If he's ready to play that strong side guy, that I can see the Chiefs maybe being the same thing they are right now. I mean, with just a lot of sub packages where they have an extra safety or an extra corner on the field. Probably an extra safety a lot of the times because that's going to be Chamari Connor, and Connor's a guy that they feel like that they can move around quite a bit and even be like a box safety. So um, like I said, unless Steve Spagnuolo Jesus leaves, I think they're going to stick with the 4-3, and I mean, personnel is going to change their matchups a little bit and dictate kind of what they do and what who they have on the roster. But I think they'll stick with a 4-3 base and just kind of evolve from there a little bit. And you said, should the Chiefs be worried about Rice missing games next season? I don't think so as of yet. What happened last week is still very unusual. I'm still not quite sure how to process everything that happened on Instagram last week and with the post that was made and then later taken down. If nothing more becomes of it, if there's no legal investigation into it, there's no charges filed, nothing of that nature, then I don't think that, based on the information that we have, I don't know that the NFL has a lot to to suspend Rashee Rice for. Probably some separate questions about the Chiefs and whether or not this affects their decision about making a long-term commitment to Rashee Rice. Because obviously he's going into his last season. Ideally, all other things being equal, you would try to get an extension done with Rashee Rice this offseason. I don't know how much of a priority that is now. That will be a question for Brett Veach when and if he makes his next appearance, whether or not it's before the combine or not. But that will be a question for him. But based on what we've seen and heard from this point, Jesus, I don't know that the league has a lot of precedent for suspending Rashee Rice. I think there would have to be more details coming before anything like that would happen. Judens, I know Chris, who is in here periodically many times, pointed out to me that this was a YouTube thing, that they changed it to use your usernames rather than your actual names in things like live streams in this nature, because of making it harder for people to impersonate other people. You can go into your individual settings and change it so that it will show your name that you have displayed rather than your username. But unfortunately, there's nothing on my end that I can do. Nothing, you know, Juden's only just because I was trying, or Juden's, I apologize. However, whichever way I'm mispronouncing it. Not you specifically. It was just making me think to myself, you know what? I wish that I had there's Chris right there popping in. Yes, the handles are unique, names are not. So they are using that. YouTube's forcing the handles, which makes it more difficult for me because I don't know sometimes what the handles are. But so now that I've butchered your name and completely, undermined your question, how come no one ever points out that Andy Reid didn't start winning until he let go of DC Sutton and hired Spags, especially since the offense has been down the last 3 years and leaned on Spags D? Um, I mean, he was winning. I mean, he went to the playoffs every year except for one with Bob Sutton. I get your point, though. But and I know I know you had a couple of other questions. I was going to see if they were kind of, informing this one a little bit. Just because I'm trying to break down the question here a little bit more, make sure I'm understanding it. I mean, if you're just talking about it from like a coaching turnover standpoint, I mean, that's a legitimate point. I mean, and that's why I think that this team probably does need a little bit more than just a cosmetic change in the coaching staff. So, and I think you're going to probably get that. Next question: could Bieniemy have the skill set that actually make him a better head coach than OC or running backs coach? It's always possible. I mean, and to this point, we have not seen Eric Bieniemy in a head coaching position. I think that's unfortunate. I wish we could have seen that. I mean, and his career's not over. It's still possible. I mean, based on what happened in Washington and UCLA, I mean, I would say in uh, the data that we have about Eric Bieniemy as a coach, I mean, I would say I think he's a better running backs coach than he is an OC. I don't know what he would be as a head coach. I think there's a pretty good chance he could be a really, really good head coach. I don't think there's any problem with that. He's probably maybe underrated as an OC. I mean, he did a fine job in Kansas City. I don't think you can really detract a lot from the job that he did as an offensive coordinator in Kansas City. I do think, based on his body of work, though, I would say he is one of the best, if not the best, running backs coach in the NFL. So I would be hesitant to say he'd be a better head coach than that because, I mean, he is a great running backs coach. I think he's a better running backs coach than an OC. Might be close. I mean, because once again, he did a fine job in Kansas City. It was just that there's other places that he's been in OC where not as successful. So, but he has been successful as a running backs coach in multiple locations. So I would say, I think he's the of all three positions based on the data we have. I would say he's the best running backs coach. And the fact that, like I said, that I think he's one of the best running backs coach of the NFL probably says a lot right there. That running backs would be his best position. Okay, Tyler, you get $1 million if you answer this question correctly. Who is the Chiefs offensive coordinator in 2026? Not been asked that similar question, but we have discussed it. I mean, given the $1 million, I'm definitely taking Mike Kafka just because that seems like the plurality, if not the majority answer. Could be somebody else, not ruling it out, but Mike Kafka would be, if I'm getting $1 million for it, Tyler, it's Mike Kafka. And I'm assuming because you made the offer, I will be following up with you to get my $1 million. Juddon's back. Seems like we had the pieces that might allow us to move to a 3-4 defensive scheme. What would you think that could do for the Chiefs if Spags leaves? It might influence a little bit about what Andy Reid might be looking for. I mean, the Chiefs have had some 3-4 pieces. I'm not sure that. Here's the thing. I mean, that's the crazy thing, as I'm talking about and just mentioned, like Leo Chenal. If Leo goes to a 3-4 defense, he's going to probably be spectacular. I think he's going to be a great fit for a 3-4. he's probably going to get like 8 sacks as as a 3-4 linebacker too. I mean, I don't know if I don't think he's going to be like elite, but I think he's going to be a good pass rusher in a 3-4. Um, and that's the thing is that Josh Uche was brought in to be kind of a chess piece as a 3-4. Um, I'm not as convinced as you are that the Chiefs have a lot of pieces for a 3-4. I'm not sure they've got 4 linebackers. Um, I mean, Jeff Bossa is an interesting one because maybe he might be a guy that I would say, okay, maybe he's more of a 3-4 guy. He could kind of fit into a 3-4. Nick Bolton could play in anything, I think, but I think he might be better suited for a 3-4. I mean, now you got me thinking about it and everything. I mean, being as like a Mike that could just play downhill a little bit more, as one of the 2 inside linebackers, I think I could see that actually. Having him been a little bit less responsibilities in pass coverage, and like I said, playing more downhill, maybe playing more on the ball. I could see that. Defensive line wise, I mean, they're really built for a 4-3. I mean, they don't really have a lot of 3-4 pieces, so I think that would require a little bit more adjustment. Chris Jones, at this point, is definitely more of a 3-4 edge. I mean, even though there's not really edge pieces, but he'd be a defensive end at this point in his career as a 3-4. They don't really have a 3-4 nose tackle. That's the big piece. And Omar Norman Lott would not be that. I mean, I think in a 3-4, Omar Norman Lott would be a defensive end. Karlaftis is not really a 3-4 guy. I mean, he's really more, I think, suited for a 4-3. Same thing with Ashton Gelati. I mean, to your point, there's a few guys that are maybe, in that kind of ballpark, but I think they're probably still better suited for the 4-3. They would have to make a few changes to fit a 3-4. And like I said, linebacker, I think would be the really, really tough thing because I just don't think that they've got the depth or quantity of linebackers to play a 3-4. The only thing that really appeals to me about that, like I said, would be, that in a 3-4, you could probably have Bolton playing a little bit more downhill. And you know what? I mean, in a 3-4, I still think Nick Bolton's underrated. I think that some of you folks that are critical of Nick Bolton and think that he's paid way too much, I'm just biding my time because you're going to hate, literally, I am 100% convinced Chiefs fans are going to hate the guy who replaces Nick Bolton. You're going to hate him with a passion. Just my prediction here. I'm going out on a limb. That is my freezing cold take. I don't think it's going to be freezing cold. I think it's going to be piping hot. You're going to hate the guy who replaces Nick Bolton. And your next question, Juddins, does Andy have to hit big this year? So does that mean Jeremiah Love might be an all-in to save Andy's job? No. I mean, like I said, I mean, especially because we don't know what's going to happen with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not sure that anybody's career hangs on 2026. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't play in 26, Chiefs go 2-15. Nobody's going to care. If anything, you're just going to be like, oh, wait a minute. The Chiefs get a top 3 pick. Chiefs get a number 1 pick. Excellent. So no, I mean, I don't think this year anybody's career is going to be hanging on what happens in 2026. Noza, I'm so sorry. I just butchered your name. I apologize. What's the hype around Keon Sadiq? Is he really that good of a tight end or just a great athlete with a good ceiling? NFL comp? And you're once again, you're getting into the whole, I am not this deep into the draft yet. So I am not conversive on this yet. Because Sadiq is Oregon, right? So I at least got that right. I mean, just looking, I mean, first thing I see, unfortunately, is that he's 6'3", which doesn't mean he can't be a good tight end. It's just that there is not a rich history of NFL tight ends that are 6'3". I mean, Noah Gray I think I looked this up. I want to say I thought Noah Gray may have been the number 6 in tight end this year. In terms of yardage for tight ends that are 6'3" and under. I mean, that tells you just, I mean, Harold Fannin is like, he was listed at 6'3" at the combine or pro day. He's listed at 6'4" in the league. So he goes down as a 6'4". He's a questionable one there. Noah Gray, like 6'2", 6'3", but Evan Ingram is like the most successful, 6'3" tight end in NFL modern history. So that would be my immediate concern. I know the production has been there, so I mean, I your question is like I said, this is my one instant look at just looking at his measurables, and hey, if he finishes 6'4" at the combine or his pro day, that 1 inch is going to make a difference. It's going to make a big difference. But at that size immediately, I mean, Evan Ingram would be your best comp if you're getting a guy like that. Might be Noah Gray though, so it's I would be interested to see it. And hey, with Oregon, could be a system tight end, always could be. So I'll have to learn more about him. I promise you I will do that. So if you check in later, you ask again at some point. I may even just, hey, once I get educated on some of these guys, I'll probably just volunteer it. But feel free to ask again down the road. I will try to give you a better answer. Casey Chase 12. I'm late, but has anyone asked about Patrick Mahomes being involved in hiring any offensive coaches? No, you are the first. And it's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, as much as the Chiefs involve Patrick in things, that they may involve him in this. I don't know if he's going to be involved in the interviews of talking to an offensive coordinator. I mean, I'm under the assumption to a certain degree, like we've been talking about here, that it's going to be a fairly short list if Matt Nagy leaves. And I know that Patrick has a really good relationship with Kafka, so I think that would probably just be a rubber stamp. If the Chiefs want to bring Kafka back, if there's somebody else, they probably would. I mean, I don't know why you would not want to have your quarterback involved in those discussions. I would think every NFL team would want to do that. I mean, obviously, I don't know that you necessarily want your quarterback choosing your offensive coordinator, but I think should absolutely be part of the discussion. And same with quarterbacks coach. Think the same thing. I don't think your quarterback needs to be involved in picking your offensive line coach and your wide receivers coach or anything of that nature. But quarterbacks coach, OC, yeah, I mean, I think you would want to. That's a good question, KC Chiefs 12, and I'll put that on my list of possible questions for Andy Reid when we get to see him and everything. Whether it's before or after they hire a coordinator. I'm assuming again that we're not going to see Andy until the combine, which will still be quite a bit of ways away for us. I mean, normally that's like 2 weeks after the season's over. In this case, it's going to be almost 2 months after the season's over. But we'll find out. I think that's a good question. Brian, what are the most coaching positions that have been open in a season? And I think you're talking about the NFL. That's a really good question. Because I don't know if we looked it up here. Anybody posted that? I want to say like 8 is the record, but which means we'd be past that now. But I don't know that for sure. I'll run a quick search and see if we can find it. Maybe somebody else has already. If you do, feel free to post it at the in the comments, and we'll go with that. Well, I know that Google did have it popped up as the second option, and then I accidentally hit the wrong button. Okay, 10 in 2021 after 2021 season, 10. So we're one away, right? And I'm still not convinced that we're not going to get there. I'm still worried I don't know, worried's the right word. I'm curious about Sean McDermott and what happens to him if Buffalo loses this weekend. I know that it sounds like The Packers are pretty set with keeping LaFleur, so I'm assuming nothing's going to happen there. So, but man, I mean, even 9 in an off season is crazy. I mean, it used to be that you could reliably set the NFL, coaches at least getting 5 years on average, and obviously, coaches been around a lot longer than that. But right now, I mean, Sean McDermott is, like I said, the second longest tenured coach in the league. I think he's been in Buffalo 9 years. Sean McVay is like in the top 5 now as far as the most tenured coaches in the league. So yeah, I mean, it's and Andy's 13 is the longest tenured now that both Harbaugh and Tomlin are gone from their team. So it's crazy. You said it seems very quiet with all the openings, no movements at all currently. Is there a date teams are waiting for? Yeah, like we talked about earlier, Brian. I'm sure you missed it though. Been a long Q&A, so I don't blame you there. January 19th is the first day that teams can interview in person coaches who are under contract with another team. So any of the coaches that get knocked out of the playoffs this week, any of the teams that, um, any of the coaches that are still employed by a team that is not in the playoffs, you can interview any of them in person starting next week. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the 4 teams that are still in the playoffs, you still can only interview them virtually, I believe. But anybody that's still under contract with the team, you can start interviewing them in person on Monday. If they're not under contract to a team, you can interview them in person right now. But Monday is the magical date, and that's why after Monday is when you're going to probably start seeing some of these vacancies start getting filled pretty quickly. I'm sorry, Charlie. I mean, I know. I mean, if there's any Huskers in the chat, and my old boss, Ann and Steve, if they're listening, be very, very disappointed in me. But it's a little bit like White Castle, and I just don't like White Castle either. It's just not my cup of tea. And they kind of remind me of totally different. I mean, Runza and White Castle are totally different. Not the same thing. It's just they have the meat has a similar flavor to me. I mean, it's like too much onion, but that's just me. I know that, and there's some other fillings I think in the Runza too that probably give it to me a little bit of an aftertaste. And I should probably stop running down Runza now so I don't dig a deeper hole for myself. But otherwise, I mean, Nebraska's a fine place. I've got nothing against Nebraska. I just don't like Runzas. Casey, Chiefs 12. Do you feel that Veach sacrificed too much in pursuit of the three-peat? I would open this up to everybody, Casey, Chiefs 12. I don't think it's just Veach in general. I think it's Clark. I think it's Andy. Probably Patrick. Maybe a handful of the players too. There's no doubt to me that the Chiefs absolutely mortgaged some of 25 rather, even maybe a little bit of 26. I mean, you certainly mortgaged some of your future for the three-peat. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you threw some resources into that, not just cap wise, just effort wise, expense wise, anything that you want to quantify that this team had, they threw it into the three-peat. And I mean, we have probably, it's worth like maybe a psychological evaluation down the road sometime. I mean, I think that losing that Super Bowl in retrospect, I think it probably had a lot more of a psychological effect on the Chiefs than we measured. I think it had a quantifiable effect as far as like, some of the cap resources that they put into it, some of the draft resources, what they did, some of their strategies, some of their free agent signings, things that they did. Who they kept to try and run it back, all of these things. Yes, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, the Chiefs put everything that they had into the three-peat. And that was not a solo decision by Brett Veach. That was a collective decision by this entire organization. Clark Hunt was on board with that. Andy Reid was on board with that. They all made the conscious decision of saying, hey, we know that this might hurt us in 25. But is the three-peat that important? And yes, they all agreed that three-peat was one of a kind. It was your only chance. They were willing to sacrifice a lot for the three-peat. And I think I don't think there's any doubt that they did. And I also think that the way that they lost that Super Bowl, I mean, I think they got their lunch money stolen. I mean, that's what the Eagles did. The Eagles punched them in the mouth. And I mean, I do think that they got some of their mojo taken that day. I think that carried over a little bit into this season. And I mean, that goes beyond even just some of the things like the Eagles did with, I mean, I've said it before and I'll stop saying it eventually, and I'll probably retire it after, now that this season is over. This might be, I'm gonna try to make this the last time that I say this. I will at least give myself into the Super Bowl if I want to say it again, but I'm going to try and retire it after this very moment right now. Vic Fangio, as the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, put on a clinic dissecting this offense. Absolutely did an autopsy on this offense. And the Chiefs should have known that. They should have known that Vic Fangio put together a game plan that any team in the NFL could copy and paste and use against the Chiefs offense. And that as a result, the Chiefs should have changed a lot more about their offense in 2025. They didn't. I mean, they went with just a simple retooling. I mean, Andy Reid kind of even mentioned, I have to go back to the answer that he gave us in, I think, the season-ending press conference when he got a bunch of questions about scheme and how much he changed things, from season to season. They didn't throw anything away from the offense. I mean, they pretty much kept everything intact. Blocking schemes, everything, plays. They didn't throw out a lot of plays. They kept a lot. They didn't add a ton of wrinkles. And I think even some of the wrinkles that they added in, the offseason, I'm not even sure if they used them all during the regular season. Because I felt like a lot of things that we saw this team do in training camp that we didn't see during the regular season. And some of those were specific to some personnel, especially Brashard. Brashard Smith got more touches in a preseason training camp practice than almost the entire season. It's crazy. So, I mean, and Carol, to your point, how come things didn't work out better? They threw so much into the three-peat. I think there was a certain degree that they were exhausted. I mean, that they threw everything. I mean, to go 15-2 last year, the way that they did was grueling. So I'm not discounting the fact that there was a lot of reasons why they got destroyed in the Super Bowl. And the fact that, like I said, the Vic Fangio dissected them is one thing. That they hit a wall was probably another thing. There was a handful of reasons why they lost that Super Bowl the way that they did. It's like I said, maybe we should have. There's probably somebody at a university that's going to do a paper on that someday. KC Chiefs 12 has Spags wore out his welcome. I see zero evidence of that. I mean, was the maybe the Steve Spagnuolo peak in Kansas City? Justin Reed making the Spags We Trust T-shirts, maybe. But I see no evidence that this defense doesn't still believe in Spags 100%. I mean, and in fact, I mean, the evidence is there that they are still all in on Spags. So no, I do not think that. Let's see, I think we are down really close to the end here. I mean, I think there's maybe one or two questions left. So last call, if you've got any more questions. Juddins, what about Cam Newton as a bridge quarterback one? I think Cam's pretty well retired. So don't know about that one. I don't know if that would work out very well. Yeah, I think he is done. Unless there's any more questions, we'll wrap it up. Was not as concise as I need to be. I need to go back and look at the film. Nick will, I'm sure, wish that I had gotten this thing under an hour so that we could be just that one episode closer to getting Nick to make some appearances back again. I say that jokingly. Nick loves us. He just wants me to do it. Wants me to get the Q&A under an hour rather than 2:23. Anyway, everybody, we got a couple more questions coming in here. We'll wrap those up. But just as a reminder, we'll have 41 is the mic coming your way on Sunday. We'll continue to come. We'll continue to do 41 is mic through the off season. So you're not getting rid of us. We'll talk about some different topics, things that are going on around the league, around this team. There is always going to be some stuff going on, so we will deal with it. And I'm hoping to have a kind of some new wrinkles, rolling out here in the next couple of weeks. And when I do, we'll talk about it all here on the Q&A and you can ask them questions and dive into it and everything. And as always, if there's things that you want to see, feel free to bring them up here, bring them up in the comments on YouTube. Even if I don't respond, I always do read through the comments and everything, but I'm trying to do better to respond. And got some time now in January, so I should be doing that every single week. I kind of took the last week since the last Q&A, the last week I've kind of not exactly a working vacation, but I took a little bit of downtime to just power down from the season. And now we're getting into it. So there's going to be a lot more draft work and some things coming at Chiefs Digest, and may have some other surprises and tricks and everything like that up our sleeves. So hopefully we'll have some fun. Danny, does KC need to trade for a running back one rather than free agency or the draft? Detroit seems to be ready to trade Montgomery. Thoughts? If Montgomery is available, I would certainly entertain a trade. There are some other running backs that I think I would entertain a trade for too. My only hesitation with the trade is that, the Chiefs don't have a ton of draft resources. They don't have a ton of cap resources either, but you got a little bit of both. And again, it comes down to, for me, and I weigh this with the fact that, I think you can get good running backs outside the first round in second, third, or fourth rounds. The Chiefs just don't have a ton of picks. So they need to stockpile some picks. So that's why I would be fine if Brett Veach can find the right partner, the right deal, and the right situation arises for them to trade out of 9, might be the right thing. Trading Trent McDuffie might be the right thing. Are there other trades that are possible? Maybe. I think it's very difficult, though, when running back is an affordable cap solution. It's not necessarily the best cap solution, but again, if you're going to spend cap dollars in free agency, I think I'd rather spend it on running back than edge rusher, because you can get more for your value. You're right. There might be a better candidate. There might be a better running back that's available through a trade, and maybe that's the way to go. Which does mean that you're going to have to probably address some other needs through free agency. I think you would once again have to stockpile some picks, because not sure what the asking price for Montgomery or some of the other running backs would be, but probably going to be, decent price. A second or a third would be, I think, probably fairly reasonable for an established running back. I'm not giving up a number one for a running back. I'm not even sure if I'd give up number one for Saquon Barkley. But you're going to give up a draft pick. It's not just going to be like a fifth for Montgomery. It'd be more than that. So I'm on the fence on that one, Danny. You can talk me into it. And there might be a better candidate, honestly, through trade than there is through free agency. But like I said, you got a little bit of cap resources. You got a little bit of draft resources. You don't have a lot of either one. I think you just need to spend those resources in the best places that you can. And running backs are affordable, for lack of a better word. Juddins, can you name any position coaches that have actually made improvements to their guys besides the DB coach? It's probably been hit and miss in some places, but I think that Joe Cullen has been really good at defensive line. I think Brendan Daly has been really good as a linebackers coach. Notwithstanding, I get that some Chiefs fans are not fans for whatever reason of Nick Bolton, but I think he's helped Nick Bolton improve. He has coached up Leo Chenal. Drew Tranquil has had his best seasons of his career in Kansas City. Yes, Dave Merritt, I think, has been outstanding. The offensive side, they've they've gone through, I think, it's a rough stretch here. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think Andy Heck had some really good years early on. I think that, like I said, I think that we haven't seen the changes in the evolution in the offensive line and the blocking schemes that this team needs. And hey, if the Chiefs can make those changes under Andy Heck, and they want to give Andy Heck a chance to do that, I get that. I'm just not sure if that's the best way to go about it. Um, I mean, I still think that Todd Pinkston was probably miscast as a running backs coach. Once again, wide receivers coach would probably be at a better spot for him. It's been more, rough. I'm not going to lie, on the offensive side. That's where I think you make a legitimate point that development, and let's face it, the Chiefs have had struggles. Really, I think developing wide receivers since Greg Lewis left. That's probably been the last time that they had a lot of success in developing some receivers, or at least being getting the most out of their receiver room. KC Chiefs 12, Geno Smith. No, we're not. I mean, bless Geno's heart, but you did see what happened this year, right? I mean, you watched some Raiders football, right? Bless his heart. Try again. Let's roll. Maybe we need a 41 is the Mike mailbag. You can bet some good questions for Nick, and that will keep it brief. Yes, that is 100% a great idea. Let's roll. I will pitch it and see what Nick thinks. I think that would be the way to go, because then that would prevent Nick's number one pet peeve, which is the same question over and over again. Since I'm a man of the people, I like to try and answer every question, even if it gets asked at 7:02. And I answer it at 8:05, and it gets asked again at 8:45. I try to be a man of the people and answer it all the time. That's on me. But like you said, a well vetted and executed mailbag might be right up Nick's alley. So good idea, Lettrell. Dame, what's your opinion on Andy's scheme being worn out versus lacking the players to execute the scheme? Probably a little bit of both, honestly. I mean, there's definitely no doubt that I think you saw evidence of things this year that need to be refreshed. I was talking with Soren Petra today. He made it over at Sports Radio 810. He made an excellent point about the fact that the Chargers just absolutely tore apart the Chiefs in that second game. They seemed like they knew it was coming. Like they'd had the Chiefs playbook. So yes, there are things that about the play, about the game plan is dated and needs to be refreshed. Did they also have the players to execute what Andy Reid wanted to do this year? I'm not sure that they did. I think they had some issues there. And was that coaching? Was that commitment? Was it both? Could have been talent. Yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, there's a lot of things, but there were some things this year that were frustrating to watch with this team. So I think there's a plenty of blame to go around, and coaches, players, everybody, front office, everybody's got a little piece of it. Carol, any chance to get a running back like Christian McCaffrey? Hard to believe that would be possible. I mean, I'm trying to think even like I mean, I'm trying to think if there's, Montgomery and Detroit might be one example of, at least like a team that has got a couple of good running backs that they're willing to part with one. I mean, with McCaffrey, you'd have to have a guy like McCaffrey that wants to play for a winner, that's kind of stuck on a team that's rebuilding. And I'm not sure there's anybody that's jumping out to me that kind of fits into that category right now. And Christian McCaffrey is a unicorn. I mean, he's one of one. The opportunity that the 49ers had to get him from Carolina was just, I mean, those moments don't come around very often, where you got a player that wants out and you got the resource. I mean, if the Chiefs could have pulled that off, I mean, I think for sure they would have loved to, but there was just no way that they could make Christian McCaffrey fit at that point. And I mean, it's not like you're going to get McCaffrey out of San Francisco now. So, hey, your best chance is, once again, it's probably to develop a guy like McCaffrey. Could Jeremiah Love be that guy? Maybe. Could somebody else? And again, I don't know that you have to have a Christian McCaffrey. I don't know that you have to have a Saquon Barkley. We've seen this offense just hum with a Damian Williams type, just somebody that, and even like two somebodies. Somebody like a Damian Williams, somebody like a Jerick McKinnon. These are not superstars. These are guys who are just kind of that are rank and file players, but it requires identifying the right guys, the right talent to fit what you want to do. And if you can make those matches, I mean, you can get a lot done with players who are just role players, who are not superstars, but are just guys that just fit what you do. I mean, and Damian Williams is a great example of that. I mean, he wasn't a superstar, but he fit what the Chiefs wanted to do really, really well. Jerick McKinnon helped out in a lot of ways and, just did things that this team needed to do. Not a superstar. Neither one highly paid players, but you just can't have square pegs in round holes. Square pegs in square holes. That's what you're going for. Tyree, is it possible John Gruden will be considered for OC, being he visited the Chiefs during training camp? Chiefs always have a lot of guys coming through during training camp. I mean, I'm sure the idea of working together would be fun for John and for Andy. I'm not convinced that somebody like John Gruden would be comfortable owning anything less than 51% of the offense, and it would be a lot less than that in Kansas City. Even though Andy Reid says he owns 51%, it's a hefty 51%. And on top of that, Gruden's got his legal challenge with the NFL that I think would still complicate things quite a bit, especially since I think the Raiders still owe him money. So that would probably complicate things a little bit too. I've heard the name mentioned. I would be concerned about it just because John has not been in the league here for a little bit. I know he's been trying to keep up and everything, but I get really nervous when guys have been out of the league for a little while because I do think that they fall behind and out of touch pretty quickly. Maybe that wouldn't happen with Gruden. Maybe with Andy, they could cover it up a little bit, or maybe he's about more in touch than I think about. But I think it would just be tough to juggle. Watchkirk, can they trade Taylor, Moore, Rice, Deanna, and Connor? Jawan Taylor, no. Your pretty much only chance with Jawan is just walk away. He's in the last year of his contract. You can cut him and save, I think, what is it, 18 million? Could be a little bit more than that. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think he's got like a $27 million cap hit with like $9 million in dead money. So you can save a pretty good chunk of change by walking away. Like I said, like I said, I say 18. I think I meant 18. Jalen Moore, I think you're talking about there. Jalen is not going anywhere. Jalen Moore is going to be your starting right tackle for 2026. Chiefs are really comfortable with that. He's not making a ton of money. I mean, I think his cap hits 15 million, could be a little more than that, but it's not a terrible number, and you're not going to find better for less, most likely. I mean, you draft a tackle, maybe, but right now, I mean, the Chiefs don't have anybody better than Jalen Moore. They're not signing anybody better than Jalen Moore, so he will be your guy. I think Rashee Rice, unfortunately, I think has no trade value whatsoever. Even if there's a team that likes Rashee Rice, which there's not going to be many, I mean, this is a guy that was already polarizing when he came out of the draft. There were teams that did not have him on their draft boards because they had character concern issues. I think that list will have grown. And even teams that would consider him, I think, would be saying, well, we're not giving up much for Rashee Rice, because if you're trying to trade him, then you're trying to trade him because you don't see the value in him anymore. So why should we pay for a guy that you see no value in? So I think that would be difficult. Dana, it kind of has the same cap concerns to a lesser extent that some of the other guys do. And again, Mike Dana might be somebody that if you're the Chiefs, you just end up walking away from. He's got an out in his contract. He's only got $2.1 million in dead cap space, but his contract has got $8.2 million base. And then he's also got, man, am I doing my math there correctly? Gosh, I was looking. No, no. I mean, so that's the bulk of it. I mean, workout bonus, everything like that, and roster bonuses. He's got about a $9 million cap hit this, or $9 million base salary this year. A team's not trading for that. I mean, they would probably, especially since the Chiefs, have the so little dead cap space on Dana, they would probably say, "Hey, we'll wait and see if you cut him." I don't think a team would be really interested in picking up that $9 million in salary and bonuses. They'd rather probably get Dana for cheaper than that. So I don't know if there's enough value there. And I'll be honest, I don't think that the Chiefs have any interest in trading Shamari Connor. I take Steve Spagnuolo at face value and Dave Merritt at face value that they really like Shamari Connor. Um, they see a value in him. They love him, and I see no evidence of them ready to give up on him. So I know there's a lot of Chiefs fans, and Watch Girk, you probably are one of them that are not huge Jamari Connor fans, but the two most important people, Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt, are big Jamari Connor fans. So I don't think he's going anywhere. And Tyree, I'm surprised that this did not come up earlier. I thought this might come up tonight, and you get it with the last question. As a journalist, what was your thoughts on the Jaguars journalist and the reaction? Have you ever spoken to encourage coach, player, etc. during a press conference? No, I've never done that during a press conference. I mean, I've had this conversation a couple of times in the last few days, and I mean, on the one hand, I've got too many other things to worry about to get too excited about this. Would I have been more fired up about it like 10 years ago? Probably. I would have probably said, hey, this is just silly. You shouldn't be doing it. It's a little unprofessional. I'd probably be saying that. Maybe I'm just a softy in my old age. Maybe, hey, maybe people are right. The Chiefs media corps is a bunch of, pussies. I guess I shouldn't say that on YouTube. They'll probably take me down now or something. It's like the worst thing I'm probably ever going to say on a live stream. So I try to keep my language clean. But I mean, I just didn't think it was the proper venue for it. I mean, have I ever spoken words of encouragement to a coach or a player? Sure. I mean, I'll do it one on one. I mean, that's where I think it's more appropriate. Hey, if there's a player that I've worked with a lot, and I know hey, this has happened. There have been players that I've worked with and talked to a lot over the years that I have positive relationships and good relationships with. And hey, they have a bad moment. I'm going to ask them about it. I mean, but that doesn't mean I'm not a human. I mean, there have absolutely been times, and I'm not going to go in. I don't want to go into examples. I don't want to single out players or anything like that or bring up anything. And there's been different moments. There's been moments after games. Sometimes it's been in the locker room during the week. Sometimes, hey, I mean, I'll be honest. If a player has a big moment, I mean, hey, I will give an example here that I have no problem with. I introduced myself to Chris Oladokun his first day in the locker room after he arrived when he signed with the practice squad after getting cut by Pittsburgh. So, I mean, I've literally been working with and talking with Chris Oladokun since the day he became a Chief. Talked to him the first day he was in the locker room, just introduced myself, said, hey, welcome to Kansas City. I try to do this with every player. I don't always get it done. I like to try and talk to every player at some point during the season, and especially new players, because we don't get into the locker room, remember, until the beginning of week one. So that's the first time that we really get ever any one-on-one opportunities with rookies or new players, anything like that. So yeah, I mean, I always try to introduce myself to players and everything. And so, hey, Chris Oladokun, I've gone a long way back. We talk all the time. Talk to ball. We've talked personal lives, all these things, and he's always been a really good dude. I mean, I like Chris. I still have to cover him objectively, and I try to. I've admitted that maybe I can't be. Chris might be one of those guys that I can't be objective about because I do, like I said, I do like him. I've known him for a while now, and I would like for him to do well. I mean, I would like to see that. I mean, I think he deserves it. He's worked hard. So, when he was getting ready to make his first start, I mean, I absolutely was like, Chris, I mean, I told him, hey, I know how long and how much you've worked for this. You deserve it. Do your best, man. Go out there, crush it. I'm not going to say that at his press conference, though. I mean, it's a time and a place. So it's not what I would do, but I mean, and I think that most journalists, even the most hardened veterans, even I mean, I've talked to, guys in Philadelphia and New York that might come across as complete and total jerks in press conferences and scrums in the locker room and everything. They're then, perfectly nice dudes and dudettes. Um, when you're talking to them and everything, and we all have our moments, and hey, everyone, even though I know everybody says the Kansas City media corps, we're all a bunch of softies and everything, or the other word that I said earlier. But hey, I think we all try our best, and we do, and I do. I think we try our best. I try my best. Doesn't mean we're not humans, though. I mean, these are people. I'm not going to treat them like cattle. I'm going to treat them like people, and I think that's what you got to do as a journalist. I mean, you work with these people. I mean, if you treat them like cattle, you're going to get a lot of moos. You're not going to get good answers, and so I don't begrudge. I'm trying to remember Lynn Jones, I think is her name. Um, I don't begrudge her. I mean, it was brief. I mean, did it take away maybe a question? Possibly. Um, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like I said, I would not have done it in the middle of a press conference. I would have done it away from it. I understand we don't always get to talk to these coaches very often. I mean, if I wanted to say something like that to Andy Reid, I'd probably just have to get lucky that I'm running into him as he's getting on on the elevator after a press conference. I mean, we don't get a ton of time with some of these coaches and some of these players all the time. But we get some. I would have chosen a better moment. So yeah, there you go. I guess I rattled on for that about 10 minutes longer than I needed to, but appreciate the question. Like I said, I figured that somebody would ask it at some point. So figured I would go ahead and make it for all it's worth. Everybody, thank you for sticking around until the very bitter end, and thank you for the super chats. Watch Kirk, Jesus, I'm the Brown, brother Rick. Always appreciated, and truly appreciate just coming in every week, and the super chats and being a part of and supporting the podcast and supporting the show and everything. Truly appreciate it. Like I said, hopefully we've got a lot of great stuff coming up for you during the off season, and hopefully we'll have some new stuff coming soon. Everybody have a great week. We will see you, Nick and I, for 41 is the mic.